Don't say I never told you. Go, get out of my mind. I refuse to be your soldier. Waste my time. Don't say I never told you. Go, get out of my mind. I refuse to be your soldier. Waste my time. Don't say I never told you. Go, get out of my mind. I refuse to be
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
Welcome everyone to day number 2 of the PUBG Players Cup, number 10 here in the American region. My name is Cameron Davis, joined by Chunks. We have 4 games left, Chunks, to see who are going to be the remaining 8 teams to qualify for the Super Cup in just a couple of other weeks. We're going to look at the leaderboard in just a second, but as we all remember, potentially dangerous being so prominent, so dominant at the top, that has to leave a lot of room for that middle pack to maneuver around quite a bit, even within these next 4 games.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, yesterday, things were so tight around the middle of the pack. A couple of points can make qualification or break it for you. AKM Gaming currently around the cutoff. They're one of the teams that have already qualified. So if they end up out of the top 8, it means that only the top 9 teams will qualify. So it'll be interesting to see how that unfolds, whether they have a stronger performance today like we saw them able to do last week. Only time will tell, though.
Yeah, and remember, guys, we only have 13 teams playing this weekend. So again, like, all these things are going to make stuff very interesting. But let's look at the format once again. To qualify to this weekend, these teams played scrims throughout the week. We have the Players Cup that we're looking at right now, and then this is a qualification for, as I said, the Super Cup. Masters is going to be the next leg, the next section that we do after that. But right now, it's qualifications for the Super Cup that's going to take place August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. We already have 8 teams qualified for that. We're now checking to see who the next 8 teams are to join them. The maps for tonight, just as usual, best of 4 tonight. We had 4 yesterday, 4 more tonight. Miramar, Tego, Rondo, Erangel. No duplicates. You play each map once. You got 1 shot, 1 opportunity, and that's it.
Yeah, and it keeps things snappy as well, so not much time for teams to adjust. We saw a lot of hot drops yesterday, so it'll be interesting to see how teams adjust those a little bit, maybe trying to avoid those hot drops when we look at how much of a disparity there is between the top and bottom half of the leaderboard. Over a 10-point gap between 3rd and 4th place, but remember, right now, as it stands with 55 Esports and AKM already qualified to the next Super Cup, it means that qualification goes all the way down to 10th place, and 6 points in a single game, that's so achievable. So anyone down in the bottom half, they need a good performance, and it could change on a dime tonight.
Yeah, a better way I think it is to think about it is you don't want to be bottom 3. You don't have to worry about like where 55 or AKM are. Just don't be bottom 3 of the non-55 AKM teams. So, and if you just look at that section, Nameless through Rush to Win, it is quite tight in there with 4 games left for these 5 teams specifically. But then even for 4 Happy Men's and D1, who, you know, 1 or 2 bad games, they could suddenly be at risk of falling out of qualification process. We could start to see either targeted crashes, targeted traps, but I think more likely we're going to be seeing some potential denials at the end, or maybe even not feeding points necessarily, but like choosing to take one fight over the other because of the risk reward in it. This is the prize pool overall. Real quick reminder, it's not just about qualification for the Super Cup, it's also about taking home that cash money. But you know, the qualification is the more important part, I think. But this is at least something for the teams that are already in that top 8 section to see if they can't get just a little bit extra outside of this event.
Absolutely, and you've got to remember that Super Cup is going to have an even bigger prize pool. These are the teams that have already qualified for that Super Cup. A lot of our partner teams are going to be appearing in there, as well as teams who have performed consistently so far throughout the season. We got Team Mirror, definitely a name that comes to mind, but one of the squads that maybe hasn't performed as well up until last week was Bestia. Now, they brought Sneak Attack in the previous set of Players Cups. They managed to make it over to the Masters, and then obviously bringing Flood in last time has been able to qualify them again, so that'll be an interesting one to watch. And remember, it's 8 more teams that are going to be joining them for that Super Cup.
Yeah, and the fact that so many of those teams that are already qualified, they're not playing this weekend, usually we'll see quite a bit of crossover just for these teams to get some practice, as well as, of course, you know, the prize pool as well, have a shot at that. But because so many of them have stepped out, this is a huge opportunity for a couple of these teams to, you know, it's true, play in a field that is a weaker field of play to have a better opportunity. So what a good opportunity to be able to qualify to such a important event. A Super Cup might not be a Masters, but it is still important to play. It's still great experience for these teams to have to get even better, get themselves trained up even further in competitive PUBG.
Absolutely. As we kick things off over on Miramar, I think the big question on everyone's mind right now is, will we see more hot drops coming out? Because that is the thing that caused teams a lot of problems in the early game yesterday.
Yeah, and it's strange. Again, like, we only have 13 teams playing. You could find a new spot. And Power Grid is still free. Come on, guys. Like, there's a reason we always get a hot drop on Power Grid, is because of how useful that position is. But, like, no one wants to do it even as a quick backup. It's only one map. So I guess teams are saying we'll take the risk. I'm looking at a couple of teams that are floating close to each other, Renee and Youngbloods, and already there was a knock and a kill of Nameless on the... Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I think it looked like he was able to knock the player out of the sky, which is probably why that flush came so quickly. I can't really be sure without knowing, though. But that is unfortunate for Nameless. Obviously, one of those squads that is currently around that cutoff position. They did have some really strong performances yesterday, and that is going to be a difficult playing path compared to the Circle when you look at where these teams have opted to drop. A lot of them dropping very early on over on the West, around other squads, and are now going to need to make a move. And, well, they need to get the move on if you're Youngbloods or Nameless. Obviously, Nameless already having lost a player, Pandarito. He's got himself the mini, tried to pick himself up the Tommy gun. Oh, no. He tried to pick up the Tommy gun, went to pick up the ammo to load into it, accidentally ended up picking up a K9. Bran going to play this really slowly right now. He knows that BL's going to be nearby and could provide some support, but as of right now, he's just keeping Pandarito pinned down in this position, and Youngblood, their other players, are pretty far away. They're finally starting to rotate in a vehicle, but they are nowhere near.
And this is all fun and games for Youngblood, I think. They're in a position that they shouldn't have to worry too much about qualification. Nameless are the team who is feeling the pressure at the moment. We got some more Youngblood players arriving, though, as you can see in the mini-map. They're driving up with some backup. That's actually going to force Nameless to try and retreat from this. At least they considered it. Certainly going to a different area. Manolzi gets a knock. Brand's trying to respond because Manolzi's very, very low, but can't quite confirm the drop just yet. And here comes Dorito to get that angle.
Really thought the Youngbloods would have been able to finish that one off, but Bran, he just wasn't able to find enough damage in Youngblood. Coming out of it with a couple of kill points now. Only going to be Angel left up. Remember, we are on that live patch, which means that we have the opportunity to use those blue chips, bring your teammates back into the fight. But, you know, if you're a team like Youngblood, you could easily pick up those chips, take a move with them, and that solo player's probably not going to try and take the squad fight to pick them back up off of you.
I think Angel has the chip from Anubis. I believe Angel was the player that sort of got the kill on the teammate that we sort of spotted in the kill feed at the very beginning. So you have to imagine they would have the blue chip of one of their teammates. That's something to bank on, perhaps.
What's going on at water treatment? Sorry to cut in there. We saw the map for a second there. We've got 4 teams all going towards water treatment right now.
Right, yeah, 55. They're also basically playing with house money at this point. We saw some great moves from them, some really overstepping of their own, and now they're taking another fight. They're getting punished for it again. 55, this is happening. It's like a coin flip. Whether they throw a match in the very beginning or they are able to dominate. And well, 4C, they pick up a good number of kill points. It's only 3. I don't know who took the 4th. I imagine it was a member of R2W there to the east. Oh, it was a team knock.
Yeah, so somebody, I forget who it was, someone hopped out of the vehicle as they slammed the handbrake on and they ended up knocking their own teammate. So that is rough right there for 55 Esports, but again, they're already qualified. They're just trying to get into the top 4 to get a share of that prize pool and rush to win. That's a team that we want to see step up a little bit. They're now trying to get involved with the third party. My mistake, it was only 3 teams over here at water treatment, but still, for a position that isn't in the circle, you got to think that 55 are just trying to, I don't want to say grief, but there's got to be something going on behind the scenes that would cause them to take that fight so aggressively and so early on.
It's possible that they just really want to try and shut 4C down, keep them from qualifying. It's also possible that they saw an opportunity to go for a fight and thought that, hey, you know, what's the worst that can happen? We're already qualified. Let's just go for it. And yeah, they get taken out for it. Again, I don't... Usually you prefer to see it in scrims. But I don't mind when teams try and push the envelope of like what they can get away with. But for 55, it really is like a coin flip every single time we see them.
Should point out, by the way, the early game fights haven't stopped as 4HP and Youngblood both going to be over in and around Chumacera. They were driving towards each other. It looks like they do want to be proactive in terms of taking the fight on the front of Youngblood. 4HP trying to get away, but Zevo is giving chase here, decides to pull off in the end, so 4HP should be able to continue with their rotate, but Kira has been isolated from the rest of the squad now. The rest of them are all up north of Chumacera as Youngblood look to regroup and make a move back in.
Okay,
yes,
for a second,
quickly, the BRDM is in play. Somebody in chat mentioned we had to mention that as well.
We all have eyes. We did see it drop down. We'll see how it comes into play. We actually haven't seen the BRDM nearly as much as we did when the patch initially hit. I don't know if it's necessarily because of the nerfs to it, because, you know, the BRDM was nerfed since it was first included in competitive play a couple of weeks ago, but we'll see how that plays out this game or not. Cherry Blossom, Quattro Konos. 3 kills already, as we saw earlier from 55, looking to get more on R2W. Really good damage. Leapy out. I mean, I don't want to say out in the middle of nowhere. Don't exactly know how Quattro Konos got to this position either, but still, caught in a crossfire. Got to get punished for it. 4 versus 3 now. Advantage for 4C. Though, as spread as all these teams are, you know, 1 knock, 1 angle taken care of could easily switch that around.
I think it would be a good time to remind people as well. Obviously, PNC going to be starting this coming week, and we are going to see the BRDM, etc. in PNC. So if you're trying to get a bit of a preview of how things might unfold, the strategies that will be used, then this is the place to keep an eye on, see how these players decide to use them. I believe they're going to be playing on a patch behind what we currently have, so those nerfs aren't going to be implemented into the game, but still, it's not changed all too much in terms. It's only really the speed and damage, if I'm right.
Of the BRDM?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, speed and health pool is basically all a vehicle has, though.
Yeah,
so
true.
I think that's... Boomco. Oh, I thought Callie was going to take him out with that. Oh, there it is! Yeah! Not even from the side, going up through the window. Threading the needle there. Great knock. This is a really good round for Quattro Konos. Hope they can stick the landing and put themselves in a much better qualifying position. Spoke too soon. STS are arriving, and they're looking to put a stop to this.
Send it in with the BRDM. Just do it.
Have any of them opened the map? That's my question. Have any of these teams opened the map?
I think a lot of it is to do with the fact that it is a kill-heavy point system. They were probably on the rotation, heard the shots kicking off. They're trying to get involved. If you look at the map, they're not a long way away from the circle, so it shouldn't be the end of the world. And just a reminder for anyone in chat, make sure you do exclamation point map in the chat. Pull up that map stream so you can see all of these rotations and see what we're talking about. But, you know, all in all, I don't think they're too far away to be concerned. I think Quattro Konos, though, they have to be a little bit panicky in their current position with, I believe, only 2 players now standing so early in the game. No,
I think they still have 3 up. It's been 1 lost from both of these squads. It's just trying to get through STS. Granted, STS are at a pretty long range, so it's not a guarantee that they're going to get a further knock, especially if these 2 teams take vehicles out of there. It's more so Aki's position in the middle of water treatment. Rush to Win is trying to take a fight against STS. Even with the blue coming in, you can see it just now peeking in on the minimap. They're still going to look to take this fight.
Should point out, if you pull up the map, you'll probably see there are a lot of teams in very few positions. Obviously, we are playing with a smaller lobby than usual, but it looks like everyone going for those power positions is causing these early game engagements as R9 opens up the damage onto DDG. He couldn't find the knock. Now, Youngblood, we've seen them already taking 1 early game fight. There's no reason to believe that they wouldn't try take another as R9 making his position known. Rivera on the other side of things doing the same, trying to third party over onto Rush to Win, a team that needed to pick up their performance, popping the tires, trying to grief them, and the circle, well, it's going down to Impala. I'm holding out hope it'll go to the island, but I know it won't happen as Legit's Demon, he's hoping he can get the revive without being spotted because he's the solo as it stands.
That instant turn on the fight, now we're swapping back down there. Like, how are there 2 fights happening out in the blue? I mean, Chunks, I think I agree with you. This has to be the fault of the point system being very kill-heavy. Rush to Win, get eliminated. Anyone, I think, sneaks in from a separate angle, and 4C going to be looking at that. I think they only picked up 1, maybe 2 kills on R2W, but STS, you can see them off in the distance. They weren't leaving like I thought they were. They were just repositioning themselves to properly gatekeep and make sure that none of these teams can move out. Lawson now pushing forward, going quite aggressive, but hoping to catch a member of 4C off.
3 kills already on the board. The aggression seemingly working out, but that was a long-range third party where they picked up these points. It's a whole lot more difficult trying to push into a compound as Pandarito spotting out Kira on the rotation. Here's the shots from R9. Peeks over maybe a little bit more than he should have done. Looks like R9 has a bit of a read on where this player is going to be. They both throw a grenade apiece to try and find some damage, but neither one succeeding as Pandarito looked like he wanted to go for the flush, but now he realizes he is getting pushed by R9, who tries to find the spray. He stood out in the open. This could be an opportunity for Pandarito to swap seats, do some damage, but in the end it doesn't work out as R9 finishes off the job and will try and get the revive onto Kira, but the rest of Youngblood, they're now moving in. This has been called out by JMS as he tries to open up with some shots, finds a really nasty headshot, and R9 can finish off the job.
That was great covering fire. I think that headshot is what allowed for Happy Men's to win this follow-up fight, make sure that Kira does get revived. Youngblood started this round off very, very well, but they haven't gotten a single kill since those first 2 that we saw happen in the very beginning of the game. For Angry Men's has just not let them bully them around at all, and this is great for Angry Men's because as you remember, on the leaderboard, they are in the top 8. But not very confidently, but Zevo is going to find an angle, going to get another knock onto Doble. Pulls away. Blue damage is something that they need to stay aware of. But I think for Angry Mans, they're just going to get the revive again and probably try and find to get into the zone. This was not a fight that it looked like they were the ones that were really wanting to take. And so they're going to grab another opportunity just to extract themselves from the situation.
Zevo not going to be looking to confirm those points, but Lucas certainly is, as he's able to take down Chino. Rene Levan, they were prepping the mortar earlier on. Don't think they fired any out, but now they've got to keep hold of this compound to be able to use it. Nade will finish off Chino as Rumblem looking over the wall, using that third person to try and spot out Factor. He will be able to, but it's Felipe who opens up over onto Baba Tempoli. Frag grenade goes over Rene Levand. Only 3 players left up, and one of them is a long ways away. Rumbleum peeks out, but he's already spotted, just about manages to get the kill. Tries to go for the flush, but this has given D1 the opportunity to start closing in. They have a read on where he is. He's not popped the heals, and he'll get punished for it. Down and knocked. Rene Levand down to just Will Griggs trying to retake the compound.
I like the crossfire for these last 2 Rene members, but they got separated too easily. D1 did a really good job of focusing on Rumblum once the knock came their way. They did lose Factor, but they could go for a blue chip revive if they wanted to. We do see the next circle on the map feed, and it is going to be a lot of water still. It's not going to go to the island, but it is still going to sort of converge all these teams into the area around Impala. Griggs, what can you do? This 1 versus 3. D1 know exactly where he is. A little bit of a peek, a little bit of a spot. Now Will Griggs needs to land some shots almost instantaneously because they know that grenade's going to be flying on in. Aggressive peek behind the stun. Lucas gets the final kill.
I know it won't happen, but I want to believe there's still a hint of that island in. I hope that the circle breaks. Let me hope, Cammy, that the circle breaks and we somehow end up over there. But even without it shifting to the island, it's still going to be an interesting circle because of just how limited space is. This is basically a phase 5 circle almost, because half of that circle is completely cut out by water and completely unplayable. I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple more teams send it over to Impala now. And let's not forget that there is a mortar in play in Rene Levand's old position. So if D1 are able to isolate players in that Impala northern area where it's all just crates, there's not really any cover from above, you've not got hard cover, it's just using crates to protect you from what's around, then that mortar could really be dangerous and could pick them up a couple points.
STS, see them looting around right now, but there are 2 members of Nameless around the truck stop area. Angel did get the revive onto Anubis moments ago. It looks like Anubis has gotten some decent loot. We're quite low on utility, but the meds look okay, and the weaponry looks satisfactory. So they shouldn't be too worried about that. It's just about picking up some more utility further on later into the game. And they're going to be using up some of these meds as they retreat from STS, try to make their way into the zone. But for them, it's you don't want to rush it. You don't want to go too aggressive. Just find yourself in the zone, figure out what the game plan is from there. It's all about survival in the meantime for them. 4 Angry Men's pushing on in. 4 kills to them already. Ready to... Oh, that's scary. That is frightening. Kira goes down. That is not going to be a revive that 4 Angry Men's are going to be too confident going for, you have to imagine.
One more bullet would have done it to take down Nyx. And yeah, Kira not going to be getting revived anytime soon. Potentially dangerous. The squad that alongside... I'm trying to remember what team it was. It began with an R. Team Rezav, they were the ones that really popped off yesterday. Stole the majority of the points from the lobby. Potentially dangerous, getting their first of the day on the board. And yeah, I'd be surprised if this is the last one that they get as well.
I'm holding my breath. Not that I think that the circle is going to go to the east, because it's not.
What you hoping?
Chunks. It's not, no. It's more about, are we going to see Impala? Yes, it is. Okay, this is basically another divided circle. Is it going to go towards Impala or is it going to be towards east? I think it does favor Impala a little bit, but that mountain in the dead center of the zone is going to make this very, very interesting. But right now we have a fight between Rezav and 4C on the north. Rezav can continue to gatekeep 4C's rotation, and that grenade looks great! Nailed him right in the face, and then a follow-up knock from Ferravero to drop Figu. Suddenly 4C down to 1 member. Molly is not going to hit. Good extracting by Kali to pull the teammate away. But to salvage this situation, that's going to be a big challenge for them.
Rezav are just surrounding them though as we see Systematicos with that BRDM. It is getting lit up, but it just has so much health. Kali will fall after Nameless does, so that's two teams falling out in rapid succession. Rezav going to try and continue their momentum from yesterday and pick up a lot more points as everyone now sends it over to Impala. Surely now is the time where D1 start using that mortar, because somebody is bound to be in the open, and there it is. He is lining it up, potentially going to try and land it on top of the hillside to damage those PD players.
See where it goes. They're lining that up onto Glock, but it could be Tony. Oh, okay.
It's close.
Yeah, it was going for Glock. It's relatively close. It's certainly a good guess. Trying to judge the distance that you need to send it because of the elevation changes around that area, it's not the easiest mortar to hit. STS with the BRDM, they have arrived in Impala. Doesn't seem to be too bruised of a vehicle just yet, but listen, once everyone sees that vehicle in play, you know he's going to take shots at it. Just slowly chip it down, and it is going to go up in flames at some point.
It's about delaying that as long as you can, though. For instance, if this shifts off to the northeast, away from Impala, then that BRDM is going to be much needed cover because it is very open out on the east. Down on the south, not so much. There's a lot of ridges, so a couple of teams could try and work their way in there, but ultimately there's some very open fields still in the circle. And I believe that high ground is still classed as unplayable. I would imagine so anyway, even though it is possible to get up. It's DM. Look to try and find those Systematicos players, but ultimately, when you're center circle, you're in Impala, you don't really want to be peeking things too much. You want to be staying safe, want to keep your head down, because there's so many angles that you've got to try and cover.
Yeah, especially with only 3 members up for Deportivo Merlo. They have a player to the south at the church watching over a blue chip station. We'll see if anyone tries to go for that. That could give DM an opportunity for another kill or 2. A few seconds left before phase 5. I do agree. I think it's going to be a hard shift, east or west. Which side is it going to be? No, it's relatively center. It's only a medium shift towards the east. This still favors D1 and potentially dangerous up on that high ground. Impala is not so much a factor anymore. Boring Man's going to try and want to leave, but Glock lighting up some good shots. Can't quite confirm the knock, however. Double was able to duck down just enough to stay alive, and now potentially dangerous, putting some attention towards STS.
Oh, the mortar lands close, but it doesn't connect onto Glock, and this is where PD's high ground could really be powerful. They've got plenty of ammo to work with. The same being said, though, for AKM, as they come head-to-head up against Team Razab, they have to smoke behind to make sure that they're not getting third-partied. It's Zevo from Youngblood who opens up the first knock of this phase. As things start to move in about 10 seconds, Andy with a really nice frag to take down Laucher. He's going to try and follow it up with a Panzer. Has a read on where those Razab players are, but he just can't connect. Has to pop down prone, hit the medkit. He's going to try and call out any players pushing to his team, but I think the smoke is just going to break the line of sight.
Multiple stuns go out. Martin throws a third. He's able to avoid some frag grenades going their way. Smokes up a teammate. Smokes up their own potential cross as well. Donk mode and he gets another knock on Ferrera. It's all to Martin. Sprays the smoke, gets some damage, not the knock.
Position, though, given away. As the flashbangs start to land up, Martin not getting any info out of this, and Razab just completely outplayed on this point. It's all down to Martin as a solo. He tries to run back. The smoke might provide some safety.
Oh.
And they didn't spot him making an exit. HVRT tries to climb up top, but Martin, he's managed to make an escape from here. Surely if he tries to run up this hillside, he gets spotted out.
Huge, though. You could tell that AKM don't know at all where they went to. Even sprayed a little bit in the smoke just in case they were trying to rat it out. No ran from DM. Gets a kill onto Nyx from 4 Angry Men. So, yeah, 4 HP still pushing through Impala itself. They don't want to run into potentially dangerous area towards the south. And Youngblood, another opportunity for kills. No helmet on the side of DGT. This is going to make this fight quite difficult, not to mention D1 are hanging out inside of buildings, but grenade at the ready. Going to fly into the kitchen and gets a knock against Lucas.
I don't think that's even where he was trying to put that nade. It looked like he was trying to land it into that little living room area, but it bounced off the door frame, landed, got himself the knock. There's still 2 players from D1 that they need to be cautious about, so they're going to try and sweep the ground floor. The sword off in hand does big damage to take down Carlos. Pandarito to find it. Zevo tries to pre-fire the stairs. Needs a teammate there for support before they decide to push, because it's now a 2v1. The flashes will be coming out, trying to prevent that push, but that M249 could be so dangerous in this kind of position where you're taking an XV1 fight. So if they get isolated here, you've got to favor Panda Dorito to try and clutch it out. He will focus the revive for the time being, as it looks like D1, they're not going to peek down the stairs, but they will out the window. A nice knock from Felipe.
I like the idea of going back for the revive, keeping a player stuck in below on the bottom floor to keep the two D1 players up on the top, but get punished on like the one window of opportunity that D1 had. They drop down. They seem to know what this last player is playing from. Zebo does get eliminated. Youngbloods are out. A couple of extra shots didn't deter D1. 7 kills for them.
Now we see the map. It's shifted over east of this hill, so around AKM's position is the one I'm paying the most attention to. You've got to imagine this is how the majority of these teams in Impala are going to try and make their rotation. 4HP will opt to head down to the south, but this is where the high ground from PD could become so powerful. Systematicos, they've kept that BRDM. It's got so much health, but AKM, they're doing everything they can to shred it apart. Are they going to try and pull up, or do they continue pushing? It looks like they will stop over in the ridge. Have AKM got any util to work with? It doesn't look like it, as they're being third party by Olivi. Nicely done for Deportivo to get those opening knocks, and this is really going to hamper AKM's ability to defend against this BRDM. You see the guns in hand. Surely they're going to stop up, pull up, and try and get themselves some kills out of this one.
Oh, HFIP trying to play ring around the rosy, unaware that Martin, I saw them for a brief moment.
Smoking
up behind. Yeah, and that vehicle is smoking. It's about to go up. It's now just a very, very expensive piece of cover, and it's not even in the zone. So not the best spot for them to land it for future use. Grenades come flying in now, and Amali, think it might be pushing that one away. But again, keep your eyes on Martin. AKM, they're looking at both STS as well as potentially dangerous. Doing some good damage there on Gabriel's peak. But not just Martin from Razav, also DM are flanking around that north side.
PD taking a fight on two fronts now, as Nightavon able to find a nice knock onto Double R9, working with his teammate. But Yai, he's going to be the one to finish off Razav as AKM pick up their 4th kill of the game. Quick to fall immediately after, though, as the final one of the final 2 players from DM finishes off the job. So that puts us into the top 4. It puts us into the placement points, but potentially dangerous. They are looking for kills right now as they still have 4 players up. The big question mark on my mind has to be how much ammo they still have to work with, though.
Well, that's an MG3. Only 5 kills, and I say only because potentially dangerous have been fragging out all day yesterday. So this is a low mark for them, but if they can clean up the last final 5, at least hit double digits, with what you have to assume is a great opportunity for a win here in this first match of the night, then they're still going to be completely cooking and off the races and light years ahead of everyone else on the leaderboard still. Good peek by Tony. Gets the first knock, looking to finish things up. Confirm the kill, making sure that no one can steal that one away.
Look how limited that ammo is, though. That MG3 burns through it so fast. 48 bullets left. He's looking to try and find that final player from DM. As Gabriel will spot him out. Lucas is there to third party, but Gabriel's still just focusing onto this. Ooh. He knows where he needs to find that kill as Filipao finds Tony with the Dragonov. That thing is so powerful, and he's got a 3 helm as well. So he is basically a BRDM on feet. It's DM, only 1 player left. Same for 4 HP. Potentially dangerous. Even after having conceded the knock, you've got to think that they still have to be the favourites here.
Even if they can't get Tony back up, it's still a 3v1, v2, v1. And a couple of the solo players are in really rough positions. JMS trying to lurk below on the south. They had that solo of DM to the north. And, I mean, the pair remaining of D1, they don't have to move yet. They're just throwing out shots. We have yet to see where Phase 8 is going to go. That's going to be the real limitation for PD's opportunity to win this. If we get a aggressive shift towards the east, them jumping off the high ground is going to be rough. DM goes down. NORAD killed. Another point for PD. Potential for the revive, but I think Tony's going to be given up. But JMS grenade at the ready, trying to take Nightavon out.
Close. Can it finish the job? Not just. As both of our solos causing real problems for potentially dangerous, but Nightavon solves one of them. JMS will fall. There's now only the duo of D1 holding onto the compound. Gonna have to wait to see where Phase 8 ends up popping, but as of right now, PD, they have complete control of this zone, aside from that small sliver inside of the buildings. Felipe just boosted up, ready to make a move, covering, keeping an eye out for Glock, hoping that he peeks.
Yeah, there were enough angles for PD to get down on the north and the south side, and they also made sure to send a couple of people early, so it wasn't just everyone up in Gabriel's position having to jump down and try and parachute onto D1's spot. So their area of control is great. It is a slight nudge to the east. D1's compound is still in play, but that's not where the game is going to end. So if they just want to try and hide it out, they're basically going to be opening it up for PD, just keep them locked in. And look at the flank, look at the claw wrapping around from multiple members of PD.
It's almost like PD right now are just trying to bait out shots, distract them from the fact that Knight of On is moving around the side. Gabriel's still able to find some damage, though, as Lucas looks to be shifting his attention, maybe, but under so much pressure, he's got to be so cautious of not exposing himself to Gabriel. As the nade comes down, that could land close to Felipe, as Lucas actually looking to return fire, so now is the opportunity that Knight of On has to try and take. Sneak up behind and find an angle. He might just be waiting, laying prone, knowing that he's just about inside of the circle now and waiting for the circle to close in and force these players out of the buildings. That's when he can get involved in third party.
Yeah, as tantalizing as a flank it is, as tantalizing of a flank as it is, Knight of On, if they go down, that's going to set them up for a 2 versus 2, and the advantage not nearly as strong anymore.
Ooh, Glock
goes for the shots, lands it onto Lucas, and now they know who the last player is. Now it is full steam ahead. Flanking in from both sides. A peek over from the top. Chicken dinner for potentially dangerous. 10 kills for them. They still hit double digits at the end of the day. 15 points. And it's weird to say. I think 15 might be the lowest amount of points they've gotten from a single round.
You certainly got to think so, with the sheer volume of kills they were getting yesterday, even in the game that they weren't able to get the win out of. They were still getting so many kill points up on the board, so really impressive again from potentially dangerous. They are definitely proving a point that they should have qualified last week. They just weren't able to, and now really being so dominant in this week's set of games. Still 3 more left to go, so can they keep it up? And more importantly for me is, can Team Razav pick things up to the same level that we saw yesterday? Because in that game, they did get themselves a couple kill points on the board, but it wasn't as dominant, as controlling as what we saw out of them yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even about qualification for them. They're basically qualified at this point. I don't even think it's mathematically possible for them to fall out of qualification, Team Razav. It's more about, can they confirm at the very least second place? It would be a bit disappointing if they started off day 1 so well, and then they just can't get it together on day number 2 and fall into 3rd or even 4th place, and still prize pool, but not nearly as much as second is.
AKM, we saw them put up a lot of numbers as well, doing a lot of damage onto Systematicos, taking down that BRDM, but it was Deportivo who managed to finish off the job in the end. But again, it's potentially dangerous. They used that high ground so effectively, grabbing it early on. And yeah, at times it looked like they were going to be limited in terms of ammo, in terms of util, but they made it count. They kept hold of what they needed, and they made the push off of the high ground while still keeping players there anchoring up. And they are rewarded with 15 points out of that, 10 kills, sorry. But D1, they got 8 of their own. They actually took that compound off of Rene Levand, if you remember, who themselves were only able to get 1 point. My only complaint is that D1 didn't get any mortar kills.
I will say, just looking at this leaderboard now, is there hasn't been that much of soaking. Potentially dangerous, only 10 kills, and again, asterisk on what the only means. But everyone else is relatively shared in terms of who got the kill points, which means there were some really good movements here. DM, with the number of kills that they got, were able to overtake Team Nameless, and now Nameless have fallen out of the qualification range. Again, as long as you're out of the bottom 3, you are good. Cuatro Conos, Deportivo Merlo, they need to be careful because the point gap there between them and Nameless and below isn't all that much. One game could still just be enough, be a difference, but they're in a really good point right now, and it looks like the way they performed in game number 1 that they should be able to keep that going forward if the bottom 3 aren't able to turn things around.
Yeah, DM just need to keep that performance up for the rest of our games tonight. A couple points can make all the difference when there's so many opportunities for qualification, but we're going to find out which teams qualify after a couple more games tonight. Next up, we are going to have Tago. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
Welcome, gang. We back here. On Tego. Pretty rough plane path, Chunks. Very far on the west side. And again, I'm already seeing teams fly in tandem with each other. STS and 4C. Surely one of them stops at army base. Okay, it looks like 4C are doing just that. STS are going to keep flying over to shipyard. Oh, like, we really shouldn't be getting hot drops anymore at this point, but you know what? It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life, it's a new era of PUBG Esports, so why not? I'm seeing some potential fighting over prison on the southwest as well. Nope, it's a hot drop for army base. Great. Fantastic.
It looked for a second, didn't it, like STS, they were going to move over to Shipyard, but then I saw them both kind of slow down just a second after each other. But no, it looks like actually 4C, they're going to hop in the vehicle, they're going to make a rotation over to the east, they're going to try and get away from this. But Systematicos, they've already got guns, they're going to try and land a bit of damage. Not going to be successful this time around, though.
Was that a Panther?
Hey, it's the perfect time to use it if you can land it. And wow, these teams are going to need to loot up and start rotating quickly. The headshot actually connected, so nearly able to find the kill, but the circle, it pops all the way down to the south.
Yeah, this is not bad for 4C. They can get to Shipyard, they can take as much time as they want to loot up because they're going to have a pretty clean trajectory going down the eastern highway through airport, around Gangneung, Ohang, just coming in around Songam area. And regardless of if any team gets eliminated early or not, with only 13 teams in from the very beginning, there should be, emphasis on should, You never know what's going to happen, but you'd have to guess. You have to wager that there is going to be a good enough amount of space for them to at least get a foot in and figure out what's going on without getting immediately clotheslined on the east entrance.
What is Filipao doing right now? That is what I'm trying to figure out. Is there a hard spawn over here that I'm not aware of? Because surely there's a couple hard spawns over at Palace that they'd be able to grab. Instead, they opt to take the boat and send it over towards Youngbloods. I don't think he's got any loot or anything, so I'm actually quite confused about that, unless there is a hard spawn that he's going for. Maybe there isn't a vehicle over at Palace that they were expecting, or maybe there aren't enough of them. Youngblood, I spoke about them a second ago, as they're over towards Terminal. They should have a pretty decent time rotating in, but it actually looks over on the map feed, remember exclamation point map, like potentially dangerous to heading in towards Terminal to try and take this fight.
Yeah, they have 2 people keeping a foot in the zone, at least for now, and 2 people going up towards the north. Looking to really try and get some damage onto Youngbloods. A little bit of a slow roll up, cutting the engine. Don't know if Nanolzi would have heard that. I have to wager probably not. And this could be a really dastardly trap for potentially dangerous to be setting right now.
ED, Tony, just keeping his head down. I mean, they've got guns, they've got helmets, like, they can take this fight, and I don't think anyone from Youngblood would expect this unless they heard the vehicles rolling in. Pandorito heading straight past Filipao. I'm so confused by what his strategy is here. The only thing I can think is that he was going for a vehicle, but this is such a high-risk play to try and get a coup now.
Yeah, I'm going to have to keep half an eye on that, see what's going on. Maybe it was purely to steal a vehicle. I thought it was to, like, set up in a position to get a kill, like, you know, grab a small little piece of loot, just one weapon, and get a kill on a member of Youngbloods rotating out. Panadorito was off looting in a bit more of a flex position away from Terminal, so maybe that's like, it was a specific player being targeted. But yeah, it looks like the timing and the pacing and everything is kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I'm very confused about what D1's strategy was here. I mean, they landed Palace. Like, there are hard spawns there, right? I'm not imagining that. There are definitely a couple of vehicles around Palace that they could have grabbed. So, unless... I'm trying to guess what it could have been. Maybe 55 landed early, took the vehicles down to fishing camp, but I don't recall that happening. So, yeah.
Certainly not worth
questionable.
This being unlooted at 5 minutes in. Something must have gone wrong. Some calculation must have been warped to get Filipao in this situation. But looks like no death for them. No harm, no foul. AKM and for Angry Men's going to be driving across the double-decker bridge for now. Donk Mode Andy going to be spotting it out. Goes for a seat swap. Or at least checks it for a brief moment.
AKM, though.
Oh,
they're going to be aware of this player. Nicholas hops out the vehicle, finds himself the knock onto Nix as well. So AKM getting punished for the bridge cap. JMS able to return some fire, but I don't think he's going to be able to find the flush. Yai goes for a seat swap of his own, trying to take down JMS, but ends up just running into a rock. Surely Andy can finish off the job here. He is heading in quick. Is he going to try and crash into this vehicle to try and stop it? That's the only thing I can think.
Oh, there's one more vehicle crossing the bridge. Donk Mode looking to land some more shots. It's going to be difficult to actually hit the driver from the top there.
I thought for a second he was going to crash, but he manages to clutch it out. Goes for another seat swap. I'll tell you what, all right, I think it was Gixxer I was playing with a couple of weeks ago. I had never utilized the glider to its full potential, but if you get yourself a Mini 14 and you load up with ammo, that thing is deadly. I think I got like 5 kills out of it. It is insane. So I'm not going to judge him too much for getting aggressive with it. What I will say, though, is in this kind of lobby, it might be better to use that glider more as a scouting vehicle rather than it is necessarily going for kills, because it doesn't have a huge amount of health. You can quite easily be shot down out of it.
Yeah. But hey, I think scouting was the initial goal for the glider. But finding opportunity to get the kills, we know how the point system works here, so they want to go for a potentially dangerous chasing down Zevo. This is like a mile or two away from where we originally saw these teams face off, or at least begin to face off against each other. Will Griggs goes down. Gabriel was getting real close before going for the seat swap. Doesn't land any of the shots. The counter swap pushes Gabriel back into the driver's seat. Trying to stay safe. Hops back out. Everyone's running out of gas. Everyone's running out of momentum. Zebo goes down. What's going on out here? This is... I have no clue what in the world is happening. Tony stays alive on a sliver of health. And while all this is happening, Rene Levan are just peppering from shots at long range.
Oh, that nade nearly took out Gabriel, but he was able to pop the heal just in time. He's going to try and go for the flush, but first of all, spot out DGT as he just about gets taken out, but took him down low, potentially dangerous. Just getting so aggressive here, but look at this. Rene Levan, they posted up over on the ridge. They're going to try and third party this. Nightavon is now preoccupied trying to cover his team.
Bolt shots. Not landing. Oh, there it is. Steals one of those kills away. Glock still confirms Zebo for their own. So still 3 kills for potentially dangerous on the board for this round so far. Emphasis on so far because, again, the 10 kills that we saw in the previous match was the lowest they've received this weekend. They are performing that well. So it's got to be scary for any other team, in this case Young Bloods, to see them being chased down. And I just saw on the map, there's another team coming into this sort of kilometer square, 4C on that rotation down the Eastern Highway. They could choose to join in on this fight if they wanted to.
Tony, low on ammo though. He's probably going to try and loot this compound for a little bit more. Youngblood down to 2 players. They're going to continue to rotate. I don't think they've been able to pick up those blue chips just because of how messy that early game fight was. They've lost any priority they previously had in terms of getting into this circle. Rene Levan, they've pulled off for the fight as well, so they could potentially put themselves in a gatekeep position for these 2 rotating teams. As Rush to Win, well, they can take things slow for the time being. They are dead center inside this circle, and I'm just going to guess, based off what we've had through the Players Tour so far, that this will probably shift down to the south again, because we've seen a lot of these southern circles where we end up playing just around the coast in Phase 2, and then it'll bounce up Phase 3, Phase 4.
Yeah, it feels like for the past year and a half, I'm just going to be watching some teams just rotate. Oh, emphasis on rotate. Hello, Kara. Give us a little spin. Yeah, it really does feel that these circles just want to have some bit of water in them. Just like every single circle has some water in it. I've been kind of arguing that conspiracy theory for over a year at this point. So I'm with you on that one. It's probably going to be a shift all the way down to the south. These teams seem to agree. No one's hanging up around Hosan. And yep, there it is. Not a lot of water in play anymore, but still there's a bit. It's like a quarter, maybe even a third.
I do wonder whether these teams that are rotating in from the east now, whether they maybe go down towards Songam, they all try and play it, because it's a difficult hill to try and get up just the west of it. Looks like PD, they managed to grab on those blue chips. They should be able to bring their teammate back in, but they need to get quickly on the rotate. Maybe their teammate going to try and land down at Hosan, loot up in there. Because honestly, there aren't many positions to play in a circle like this that you're actually able to loot. There's only a few compounds that are playable. As Karak just pulls up over at the tree, doesn't try and take a shot. Not sure whether he is disconnected or whether he just didn't want to draw too much attention. But the rest of 55, they are giving chase to D1 right now. The Psycho just sends it in. Samcro goes for the same. Seat swap with the MP5. The vehicle's already low. As this is just such a messy early game again. Yeah, correct, DC'd.
Yeah, this is messy for all 55. Not just the DC, but that just send into the side of the building. They're trying to really establish their presence in this area, almost force other teams away through pure hubris alone, whether they land the shots or not. Obviously, getting kills would be great. They would love if they can grab that. But just being loud, almost peacocking around the area. And you know what? Good on 55 to defend their teammate. Make sure they can reconnect without going down. Oh
no.
Carrick
I think
still
he
goes down.
just
At least they were
reconnected as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Literally, his name lit up and immediately he got knocked. Now, let's not forget here how this went for 55 last game when they tried to get aggressive early on. They ended up getting punished, and now with 2 players knocked, it's looking like things could potentially go the same way. Samcro will pull up to try and support his teammate, but that smoke will just about provide cover. He's actually going to load them into the vehicle and try and get them out of dodge.
another rough early game for 55. Trying to go aggressive, trying to go loud, and they're potentially losing players again. Getting shot out of a vehicle like this for these two knocked players would be a disappointment, but looks like they're able to arrive, sort of get tucked in a safe area for them to get out, drop some smokes. Semco's going to peek out, making sure they're not getting pushed. But fortunately for them, DM, I think, are a bit distracted by SGS as well as potentially AKM to their east.
I do wonder, though, if you're DM, you get those 2 knocks, you saw the vehicle. Yeah, if they didn't get a player knock, you'd imagine that they try and make the crash off of this because they have the player advantage. 55 definitely have a stronger position. They're a bit more central into the circle, so I'm slightly surprised that DM didn't go for the crash, but at the same time, if they had a player knock, they got to focus on that revive first.
Yeah. They're in a really precarious position as much as we love kills, as important as kills are for getting points and making sure that you can maintain a position in the top 8. Or rather, top 10, including 55 and AKM. You don't want to completely throw that away. Carrick still goes down, unable to get the revive in time. The bleed out timer was enough, so that is at least 1 kill for DM. I wonder if Demostro was at an angle to sort of pressure the revive away from the knocked teammate, but regardless, they are going on a push again. Sorry, that's not AKM, that's D1 right in front of them. I don't know if this is intentional or not. They could be completely unaware of D1's position. Circle does center up a little bit to the east, but there's still some water in play, and here comes Factor, ready to take a knock against an unknown DM player. Element of surprise is gone. How does DM respond?
Oh, it looks like they're responding well as Demostro takes down Lucas. That's the first player for D1 to fall, and they are so split. They weren't expecting a team to pull up here, but that nade is beautiful onto UT2K4. Down he goes as they've finally been able to equalize the fight. Will flush it out as well, so they at least get a point on the board, but Demostro with that Mark 12 able to finish off the job onto Filipao as, oh, Carlos struggling to get up on the roof now. He wants to get that high angle, but it's too late for him, as now he's left as the solo for his team. DM picking up some points, and we said last game, they just need to get a couple of points every game. They've definitely heeded our advice, as now they have 3 points on the board in phase number 3, looking to make it 4.
Shots on her exiting D1 player, but 55 had the angle to punish that. Ali RV has to back away. A good knock by Nora to take Toxic down. Also confirmed a kill for DM. That's the 4th point for them so far. One lone player of 55 is swinging down to the coast to try and get a crossfire angle, but that's a potentially isolated player. Noran's heard the vehicle, waiting for the peak, but I think Sam Crow is thinking better of it. Quite a risky play, and it's not even inside the zone yet, so they might want to consider just making their way into the play zone before they continue this fight.
Noran look to find the kill, but it's Psycho who gets the knock onto Demostro in the end. He's going to try and run for the revive. The circlet shifted over to the east, so teams are trying to work their way in. One of whom being AKM Gaming, a team that have already qualified for the Super Cup. They are playing for cash right now. They haven't been able to perform quite as well as we would have expected based on last week's set of games. They've already got 3 points on the board this game, though, so they're trying to systematically take down Systematicos surrounding them, trying to corral them into the fight as Andy flanks around. He's got the K2. Not something we see used all too much in comp, but sure, in the hands of Andy, he can make it work. Tries to spray through the smoke, expects him to be over at the tree, but he's actually holding a little bit further back. Nicholas opens up onto Ribeiro's AKM. They've not lost a player yet, but 55 trying to make it happen.
Lost in it. Well, I was going to say Lost in is still alive, but a really well-placed grenade by HVIT takes him down. Good entry effort by AKM at the moment. Still peeking out south, make sure that there's not going to be a flyer from perhaps 55 to spoil their efforts from that angle. Another stun goes out. Donko and Andy pushing through, swinging around the side, is looking to put an end to things, and indeed they do. 5 kills for them. STS eliminated. A swing over to 4C. Oh, barely dodges the BRDM, hiding in the smoke. Aki does. Grenade goes out. Still not going to find him. The rest of 4C. Oh, there it is. Yep, Aki out in the open. Able to avoid the BRDM.
Tried his best to land the shots, wasn't able to, but now as the double push comes through, Nightavon able to find that knock. Nades looking to land around this BRDM. Nightavon is driving. Svigu tries to open up something, but neither of these teams able to break the stalemate for the time being. PD just send it in through the doorway. Smoke goes down to try and defend, but it's not going to be enough. That's the end of 4C down in 12th position. As 55 Esports as a solo Psycho spots out. AKM Gaming decides not to take the shots, and it's probably for the best here.
Yeah, last player up, 455. Only one kill for them. Gotta find some way to salvage it. Martin lining up in the smoke. Gonna deal some damage to Nameless once again. But the blue is coming in. The blue has now arrived, and once it clicks over to phase 5, that's when the damage is gonna get virtually unbearable. Phase 4 isn't that fun to be in itself. Malcha also trying to send some shots their way, but Nameless is gonna break their way into the zone. Find a central position, group up with a couple of teammates that are already inside. Legit peeks into AKM. Holding the angle aggressively so. AKM Yayi still peeking into it, taking some damage, but also landing some shots back.
Demon lit up as AKM look to try and surround this position. Andy throws out a Beezy nade. It just about lands over on the edge of that shack. Not sure how much of a problem it's going to cause for Leapy. As the emergency cover comes down, it looks like they have spotted out one of the players. But AKM, they weren't expecting one to be down on the south as well. Andy gets himself an opening knock onto Legit Demon. As on the other side of things, JMS finds himself a knock over onto Nameless. That nade could be big onto Yayi, though. Goes straight into the smoke and finds the knock. Not only is that Yayi out the fight, but it's also the P90 neutralized.
That's really good, and this is a great fight for R2W to win. They are at the bottom of the leaderboard. They need every single point that they can get. AKM now arriving, swinging around the side. HBIT gets a knock, confirms that kill, gets the point. D1 does get eliminated in the meantime. Still 10 teams alive in this round, however. Still a good number of kill points on the board for teams to grab if they are good enough. Swing back up to the north. Rene Levand trying to take the Groza out of the game. And then Youngbloods are here, Nameless are here. Everyone's on this northeastern area.
Nameless, they've got themselves a good position, but they are coming under pressure right now. With only one player left up, Zevo tries to flush one out. He's not able to get the final kill. 4 HP, just sponging points right now. Taking down Rene Levand's players, taking down the flush onto Bram. That leaves only Rumblem left up again for Rene Levand, and he's got to try and make his way out of this compound. Team Razab, they just send it in. Nice seat swap finishes off Martin. As, by the way, Razab, it looks like they're playing as a 3-man tonight. We saw it last game, and the same appearing tonight as DGT tries to go for the 4x spray. He can't connect onto JMS. He's lost the element of surprise, but his teammate certainly hasn't. Catched him from an off angle, but not able to convert to the knock. Pandorito does in the end, as Youngblood just trying to get a read on where this final player is.
Nolzy is really looking to land this grenade. Bubbles backing away. Sprinting away, rather, and here comes the BRDM! Zevo goes down! I thought they got clipped, but no, it was an angle found by Nolzy. Oh, sorry, by Tony. We're flipping around all over the place. It's really hard to track. There are so many teams involved in this fight. Here comes the Razab. They're trying to get in on the action. They want some points, but no, they're just giving stuff away because DGT finds yet another knock for Youngbloods.
Blood's just getting absolutely lit up as soon as one of them pops a first aid. An aid lands in to take the other one low. Still not converted to a knock. Spoke too soon, though, as Tony takes down DGT. Pandorito flushed out by Nightavon. Potentially dangerous yet again, getting 10 kills on the board. Just tearing through the lobby. The BRDM nearly full health as well. Still going to try and make this work. Nanolzi, the final player left up from Youngblood, tries to finish off Tony. The smoke will go down, but he unpeaks at the worst possible time. Tony able to find the angle. Nightavon sends it in with the BRDM. He turns it just in time, gets the run over, and makes it 12 kills on the board for PD.
And he leaned into that turn. How tight it was. Grenade comes in. No red still up. How? Free fires into their own shield. That's going to give Andy the opportunity to come out with the knock there. Ali RV swings around, though. 10 HP, trying to confirm the point, is able to do so. Saw the writing on the wall. Tried to get the last one before going down. They are able to. DM are eliminated. 5 teams left. And Razab now swinging up and over. Loud to try. Oh, couldn't get the knock before they pop back into BRDM.
Perfect timing to hop into the BRDM. Get yourself that safety. Zarnan tries to open up, the final player from 4 HP, but Nightavon is trying to make sure he follows the same fate of that other team. He ends up actually nading himself there as Nightavon tanking a little bit of blue damage. The BRDM, it's slowly but surely losing health, but as of right now, PD, they've made it into the top 4 in only Phase 5, and they're currently the team with the player advantage yet again.
They're just not stopping. 13 kills already. BRTM, still relatively healthy vehicle at that. Quite a fashionable paint job as well, if I do say so myself. It's certainly a losable game for Potentially Dangerous, with a couple of pairs still on the field. If it was a bunch of solos, that would be a bit of a different story. But I like their hill that they're playing around, like the high ground. They're not going too aggressive. It's kind of an open ending for everyone else is going to be playing through. HVIT now sending it up from the south. Nicholas a bit far behind, so the spacing rather, of AKM on their approach could end up being their downfall. But Potentially Dangerous, they're not going to go too aggressive. They only heard one vehicle. They don't want to peek into what could potentially be a full team arriving from the south. They're just going to play it slow, take it bit by bit.
Spoke about AKM as one of those teams that have already qualified. They had the strongest performance so far this weekend, but now getting 9 kills on the board. They're certainly making up for lost time. As almost looking indecisive with how they want to play this. They are now heading straight over towards Rush to win. Pesadella with the VSS and the MP5 combos doubled up on the 9mm. Decided not to take shots just yet. Okay. So not looking to get involved, but Pesadelo, he's got a read on where this player's going to be. He baits out his teammate, maybe unintentionally. One more bullet would have done it. He's down to 1 HP, but he just can't finish off the job. HVIT going to try and find the heal, but it's actually Faravero who finishes off the job first. And yeah, that final rush to win player, not going to be able to steal out the point either. Nicholas has spotted him out. Goes to the reload. Oh, nearly able to return fire with the VSS, but it just burns through ammo so quickly. That'll be the end of Rush to win. Out in 4th, only able to gather themselves 1 placement point as AKM turning things up to 11 right now. 11 kills on the board as Tony looks to try and make it 14 with that AWM on the vehicle.
Ooh. Lacha swinging on in. A nice headshot lands from the spray of the... Oh, another one! Lacha is so low on HP, falling back to a teammate to heal on up. Faravero should be standing over them. Standing guard. Nicholas swings on through with the pony down to 1 HP. Stun in play for Glock. Has some frags. Opts to not use it. Runs through a frag of Nicholas and then swinging on the side, not letting them get the heal at all. No timing available for Nicholas to heal on up. And now Potentially Dangerous in a 3 versus 2. They have what is the closest to the center. We could still see some shifts in any direction with 2 more zones left to lock in. But they seem to know where Rezav are and setting themselves up in a nice, decent crossfire. Keep them locked in. And a nice hard shift to the north confirms PD's positional dominance.
Surely PD have a C4, right? That's the only logical end to this game. Tony goes to pop out some tires. Just going to make that rotation slightly more difficult for Rezav, and it's our 2 top teams. The final 2 in this game. Only 4 kills on the board, though, for Rezav. So they're really going to want to try and seal out this win to confirm themselves those extra points to try and close the gap. I think both teams pretty comfortable in terms of qualification right now. As Nightavon hops in the BRDM, I think he's just going to try and send it over. If not to get kills, at least to try and get a little bit more info on where these players are. Laucher gives his position away as Tony spots out Faravero, decides not to take the shot. He's just waiting for Faravero to stand still, expose himself just a little bit more.
They know that Team Rezav need to cross a dip in the valley to make their way inside the zone. No point wasting bullets. Going to send one through now that they're in the vehicle. Want to see if this pony stops short or not. A couple of decent Shots land onto Tony, dropping down to 78. Another spray comes through. Not a lot of damage coming on in. They're trying to get out in front of them, trying to get to the north, but no. Blocks in position. Knocks Faravero down. Goes for the second against Laucha, and the spray does land true. Last 2 kills go the way of Potentially Dangerous. BRDM chiming in for extra measure in a celebratory lap. But 2 wins in a row for the team that is already in first place.
Huge amount of kills, huge amount of damage. PD just showing how dominant they are in this lobby, absolutely popping off this weekend. The BRDM kill, getting those style points as well. So 16 kills, that is a 21-point game from Potentially Dangerous. There is no doubt in my mind now that they're going to be able to take first place. The only opportunity really is if Razav kick it in to 6th gear in this final 2 games of the evening over here on Rondo, then heading back over to Erangel. But we said it, didn't we, Cammy? This circle, as soon as it popped down to the south, we knew it was going to be a difficult one. There's so few positions for teams to play, and they were forced to get involved early.
Not just that, teams really need to go for some Hail Mary action. Granted, as we established, with Potentially Dangerous especially taking up so many points themselves, an okay game is all you need to kind of jump up 1 or 2 places. The real problem, though, is that we're running out of time. So for R2W, they made it late to the game, but I don't know how many kills they got. They're going to be really close to the chopping block still. I think I would have to guess they're still in the bottom 3. And yeah, 2 games left. The pressure, the pressure has got to be high, but there is a path to qualification for every single team that is still here in this event now. No one's locked out of it yet.
Look, if you have a game like PD just had where you're able to get 21 points, then yeah, you're going to qualify no problem with just how little points are down at the bottom end of the leaderboard. And that's not necessarily to say that the bottom end teams are doing terribly. It's just a case that the top teams are so strong. When we see yesterday, Team Razav, PD, consistently stealing nearly half the points from the lobby. We saw the same thing today, but this time it was Potentially Dangerous and AKM that stole the majority of the points. Let's take a look over at the overall standings, though, and see how that is going to affect things. And of course, PD, they're going to be holding on to first, nearly double the points of second place, but just look at how close it is down at the bottom. One strong performance from any of those teams in the top 3 could make qualification for them.
Potentially Dangerous's lead is silly. It's ridiculous at this point. And I mean, they only have 20 placement points. Even with the wins, we only get 5 for a win at this point. It's not like they're being carried by just snaking a win. Like, they're getting so many kills. Even the kills are almost double second place. But the important thing right now with the last 2 games is who can get themselves out of the bottom 3. There is still a 5-point gap between 10th and 11th place for Nameless, Rene Levon, and Rush to Win. The timing is there. Like, the numbers are there, but they need to get them in these next 2 maps. There's no other opportunity.
Absolutely. Time is becoming limited. Only 2 games remaining. We're going to take a very short break, but we will be back with Rondo to kind of see in the final 2 games of the evening.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
We want to see how this event's going to end. You want to see how this event's going to end. The players do as well. So we are back very, very quickly for what is the penultimate match of this weekend of PUBG Players Cup Americas. Number 10, who will qualify for the Super Cup in 2 weeks' time. Rondo and Chunks, we have teams that are floating on similar trajectories. Once again, it looks like we're going to be getting another hot drop on Stadium, plus a menage a trois towards the east, to the northeast of Knox Factory.
When will they learn? Review the VODs, avoid the hot drops, because that's where these teams are getting punished right now, is on these early game fights. It's why so many teams are struggling to get those points. Sure, they're getting a knock here and there, but they are just consistently going down. And for a team like AKM, who had a huge performance in a last game, they're not going to be too concerned about taking this early game fight. Sorry, I'm getting that mixed up with 4C. Sorry, D1. Izaki, he's going to go for the vehicle kills, just about misses it, but surely he's going to be able to get at least one of these Rene Levan players.
I don't know. There's enough trees here. It's not the easiest thing to hit players. There it is. There is one. Chino wasn't able to swerve that in time. Aki gets a second, so you know what? Might have looked a little tricky for Aki at the start, but with the 2 vehicles coming in, making short work of those 2 players. Not overcommitting, though. They're not going to chase down the other 2 members of Rene because they're in a compound. They're going to have weapons. Not going to be the easiest kill points to get, but for a team that is trying to maintain themselves in the top 10 versus a team that is trying to get themselves into the top 10, 4C are coming out on top, and this is a really good time to do so. But look at this circle. Look at this circle, number 1. This area of the map is wild.
Yeah, that is a brutal circle, especially if you're a team that's hot dropped up to the north. Not only do you have to try and clear out that fight, you also need to start now looking at moving down to the south into what is a very tough area to play. There's a lot of water involved, a couple of real choke points if you are forced to make a rotation across that water. So a lot of pressure now riding on these teams.
On board, potentially dangerous once again. Blockbuster team of the weekend. Bunko still looking to grab another point opportunity against Rayzav. R2W, they need the points. They're in last place. Even though they got the 1 placement, they got no kills the previous game. They got to find something. And Bunko, I think, well, a bit more than he can chew. They got something. Unfortunately for them, it was a bullet in the head.
Rivero should be able to flush that one out in the first point of the game for Rayzav. Hopefully, this is the start of that momentum we're talking about. Obviously, playing with a player less than the rest of the teams, it does make it a little bit harder to be that ultra-aggressive squad that we were able to see in previous days. So they've not been able to get as aggressive, but they've certainly not had a problem sponging up enough points to keep them in the top end of things. As Faravero, he's going to lose those vehicle tires. Lucky not to lose his head right now. Switches over to the coupe, but needs to do so quickly to avoid the same fate.
Oh, yeah, I thought they were done for. Those tires got eliminated real fast. I thought his head was going to be next up on the chopping block, but no. Fortunately for them, a little bit of a love tap at the end. But still, should be an easy enough exit. A good grab for Rayzav, but oh, Will Griggs, this Panzer, this could be huge. Can you nail it? Oh, it hits the tree! I told you, man, these branches, they're made of steel.
Nice spray. Coming out from Aki there to take down Will Griggs. Finds the flush as well. That's 3 kills on the board right now for 4C as they look for those final Rene Levan players, but it's hard to take a compound this early on in the game because Util is just so limited. Aki with the Tommy gun, but Sam Crow from 55 Esports, we've seen they've wanted to get aggressive early tonight. It looks like they're going to do the same again. A nice headshot found, looks to find a second, lands the damage, but he can't land it to the head, so won't be able to get that instant knock. Knows the player's going to be down at the tree. Down comes the frag. Will it bounce nicely? Oh, it certainly looks close, but the second one, not quite as well placed.
Rumblum gets the knock against Cali, but 55, they're swinging in from an opposing angle. We did see, yeah, Rene Levan there, fully eliminated now. Aki gets confirmed by Sam Crow. This is huge for 55. It's good for 4C that they got some kill points, but if they go out here, that's going to be all that they get. And, you know, they're close to the line. Fortunately, they took out Rene, who is a team below them, so it kind of alleviates some of the pressure, but you still don't want it to end here, even with 4 points on the board already.
Certainly not. It's Quattro Konos now down to just 2. Kali has the Panzer. It can be so powerful, but look at how limited his health is. Needs to hope that those players line up and aren't able to land a single shot onto him. Cherry Blossom opens up. He just can't fire out the shot in time. As Kali will be taken out. Only Cherry Blossom left to try and make a final stand. Pinned down in position, surrounded by 55 Esports, and it's Psycho who manages to finish off the job.
Yeah, really good pre-fire on the corner. Takes the Panzer out. Not even sure if they were aware that it was a Panzer in play. But regardless, 55, they have one player knocked, but should be an easy enough revive. There is an EMP that's landing on this area that could make rotations out of this a bit difficult. Blue is coming in, and as far away as phase 1 is, 55 should, get eyes on what their plan is, but it's not going to deter their whole game. They've already gotten a couple of kills. We've already lost 2 teams, and 55 are already qualified. So again, house money.
Just playing for the cash at the end of the day. That's the beauty of the Players Tour, is anyone can get involved, and even if you qualify, there's still the opportunity to get a little bit more cash out of it. Obviously, registrations for the next Players Cup are closed right now. Make sure you get signed up after the Super Cup is over. And hopefully you won't be facing the same fate as Kira, as he is just getting chased right now by not only D1, but also AKM. This is such a messy early game, but we've seen it so much, and you can't help but think it's the point system that's causing the majority of these early game battles.
Yeah, and this is, once again, this isn't even in the zone! Oh, all of a sudden, HVIT comes swinging up over that ridge, takes Factor down. And I think 4 Angry Men's trying to get back involved, but Kira does go down. Carlos is holding that angle, holding the line. Grenade lands at their feet, drop down to 49 HP. D1, they're looking okay so far, but they're caught between 2 other teams. They gotta take a couple of different fights on separate fronts. Spray doesn't land, Doble stays alive. JMS is trying to back away, but the covering fire from Nyx allows them to do just that.
Nicely done from Nyx to provide that support, take down Carlos, but AKM, they are still not letting off the pressure. Nicholas and Andy work together to take down Felipe. D1 able to flush out once. That's their first point of the game, and potentially could be their last unless they can get this revive. It's 4 HP, try and get back up to 3 players. AKM just so aggressive early on, trying to keep that momentum flowing from last game.
Nicholas pushing forward now. Multiple grenades at the ready. Trying to clear out the other side of this ridge. A lot of grenades being utilized here. But they know the opportunity for them to grab points is huge. HVIT and Yai get a tandem kill. The Doble with another spray down of their own. I think that's 2 quick kills against D1. D1 are now eliminated. But Nicholas has the angle. Spray down from above for Happy Men's. They got a couple of kill points, but they are not long to follow to the afterlife.
Lost in, throwing down the smoke to try and get his teammate back up into things. It looks like Nameless and Systematico's taking an early game fight as well. Need to be careful as Brand tries to find an angle onto this. The smoke should provide enough cover, but might just be able to spot out one. Systematico's just sweeping round as Nameless only getting themselves 1 point out of this game. Again, we need to remind everyone we're on that patch, which means that we now have the recall chips. So there is the possibility of bringing teammates back in. As the E-pickup looks like it's going to be used all the way up in the northeast by AKM, so that explains why they weren't afraid about taking that early game fight. Sorry, that's Rush to Win, actually, that are using the E-pickup, so they should be able to make an entry, and there's some nice little high ground areas, so they've got a lot of ammo. They could definitely make those work.
I'm just trying to follow along what's been happening in this round. It's pretty dangerous. Load the vehicle up. For reasons I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But hey, they wanted to see some fireworks. Why not? They're in a good position in the zone. DM right below them, STS right below them, and then of course the solo player of Nameless. But look at this circle. Pretty medium shift to the southwest. But that river cutting through what is virtually the center of the zone could make things tricky, especially if this does continue to favor the west side. Another E-pickup coming into play, or that could be the respawn helicopter. But no, the respawn helicopter spawn at the edge of the zone, so no, that's another E-pickup, it seems.
Seems to be that way. Just rush to win. Only sending 2 players on each. Maybe trying to minimize the opportunity of them getting shot here. That's the only thing I can think of, unless they just wanted the style points and they had 1 spare. They were like, yeah, we'll come in 2 helicopters for us. VIP treatment.
I mean, why not? I'll give them a style point. Producers, can we give them an extra point? I'll see what I can do, guys.
Someone in chat has a theory right there of why that team blew up the vehicle, and I am eager to agree with it. They put the blue chips in the trunk. They've blown up the vehicle. Now the blue chips are useless.
Oh, could be.
That would make sense. That's what I do in my pub games because I'm toxic.
I like that. I like that. I mean, I've never not wiped a full team when I get into a fight, so I wouldn't know anything about griefing blue chips. But hey, not everyone has the same opportunity like I do.
DM in a tricky
I'm also
position right now.
6'3", 200 pounds, full muscle, 8% body fat.
DM, they're in a bit of a tricky position right now. They've got potentially dangerous looking down from the north. It's Tony looking to find an angle. I think they know there's going to be players inside of here. It's just a question. Trying to spot them out before fully committing onto the compound. Sam Crow, he's fully committed to this hillside, and Martin could end up punishing him for it. Finds the headshot. Wipes him out, gets the point on the board. Much needed points here for Rezav. They know that they're not going to be able to grab first place, but they just want to confirm themselves that second. As Toxic down the hillside. Karak really late on the rotate here.
I feel like it's always Sam Crow that is overextended and gets taken out in a silly fashion. Or maybe it's Karak, or maybe it's in fact just the way that 55 play that opens it up so many times. But yeah, Sam Crow going down once again in 55. Losing a player early where you think they wouldn't, they could have avoided that. But Glock with a nice spray down. HVIT goes down. Easy kill for them to pick up as well. 3 points so far. And DM, well, if they didn't know that potentially dangerous were here, they certainly do now.
Can't help but notice that Rezav, after getting that kill on to 55, did the same thing where they blew up a vehicle. So starting to think that they might have tried the same strategy of, okay, let's stop these players getting back into the fight, because we know how powerful 55 are able to be as a 4-man. Granted, we haven't seen too much of it this weekend because they've been taking a lot of early game fights, and yeah, those E-pickups are being used to great effect. Grabbing the high ground, they've just got to hope for the zone now, because it is brutal trying to parachute your way off of this.
Yeah.
If the circle doesn't come towards you, you've got no vehicles to work with after that. Bran, he's got a vehicle to work with, just sends it into the compound trying to get to safety.
Yeah, getting away. Recognize that. A couple of demons hanging out over their shoulder. It's going to be a hardship towards the west. How do you read this? Phase 3 to 4 shift, avoiding water. There's no way to cut it out completely. But which side do you even bank on? How do you calculate this one out? My gut is telling me the west. But there's something about Rinjiang being sort of like nubbed out like that. Maybe it is going to go to the east. I have no idea.
I mean, I think if you're a team like 55 or AKM where you have a lot of freedom in your rotation, then yeah, you probably bank over to the west. But I think for the majority of these teams, they're just going to commit over to the city. I said to 55, they had a lot of freedom on the rotate, but it doesn't appear like they're going to use it. They wanted to commit onto this fight as Martin lands a nade. It's not going to be enough to get the knock, but Louch is there to trade it on Psycho. Now only going to be Toxic left up from 55 Esports as Loucher goes for a reposition. Going to try and gather some info, throws out the flash, seems to know where that player is, and Faravero's able to find him. That's 55 Esports annihilated by Team Razab. 6 kills on the board, being so aggressive early on, and it's working out for them. Bunko, though, this is interesting from Rush to win. They had the high ground. They've decided to jump off of it. Now they're taking an engagement with Youngblood.
For RGW, they need these points. They need these kills if they want a chance to get into the top 10. Spray comes out, lands a couple of shots. Still at 100 HP, but out in the open. Panda Dorito catches Pesadello rushing forward, and now Bunko goes down too.
They opted to play 2 duos.
Yeah, opportunity missed. And the other 2 players, well, they're at a nice little angle to give support, but with everyone dead. Oh, that's a crate? How lucky are they? Well, not that lucky because they lost 2 players, but, you know, silver lining.
They've got no ammo either. Obviously, it looks like Leapy was rocking double 5.5. You still see the mini on top of the crate. So that MK not going to be all too useful now.
Yeah, it's kind of a tricky spot. Ooh, I hate this place. Only because I really hate this TDM map, but that's... Sorry, it just hit me, the hatred, the second I load in and it's that map. I instantly feel dread. But that's not the here nor there. Yeah, teasing Razev, rotating forward, rotating through. Looks like they're going to try and get into Rinjiang too.
Yeah, I think everyone over on the east pretty much, except for maybe Rush to win because they're pretty happy laying prone up at the top. Probably going to try and commit over to the city. It looks like AKM, by the way, are the only team that's wrapped over to the west. Now, it's phase 3 and we've only got 20 players alive, so I wouldn't expect a lot of action early on here. But if I know potentially dangerous, they want to get more kill points. They're going to clown car it by the looks of things, start making their rotation. As AKM throwing in that E-pickup kind of in advance, ready for that circle to close in, ready for it to pop and potentially go away from them. So we see some players dropping in, and yes, it pulls over to the west. So AKM, make your move now while you still can, while teams have not had the opportunity to rotate over. And honestly, for Bale right now, this could be really big. If he goes for that crate or goes over to the compound, this could potentially be unlooted. Nameless, they're getting lit up on the rotate. There's 2 of their players actually going to be dropping in.
Yeah, that's a problem for Nameless. Bale had the call on where they're going to go, but Brand gets shot out of the vehicle. Anubis still in the sky on a parachute, hoping to try and join up with Bale on the opposite side, but everyone's going to be using this bridge now on the north. Nicholas, grenade at the ready, or Dogma to Andy, sorry, grenade at the ready. Nicholas with the shots, potentially dangerous, still alive for now. Follow-up spray comes through. Oh, Knight of Vaughn doesn't take really too much damage at all.
Interesting from AKM. They decided not to prioritize position, instead going for the kills, but now they get punished as Tony takes down Yayi, I believe the only player inside of here. Anubis, oh no, just trying so hard to survive, but Systematico's just running around trying to find him. Andy will find Tony in the trade. Looks like he maybe spotted out Gabriel as well as he jumped out of that window. Will need to reposition to avoid getting caught with the frag grenade. Speaking of which, Nicholas found 2 with the frag but wasn't able to find the knock. Knight of On nearly able to finish off the job onto Nicholas. It looks like Anubis opting to deny the points by drowning himself rather than giving them Systematicos as Nicholas gives Knight of On a couple bullets straight to the head. Glock tries to return. The flashbang connects, though. This could give them the opportunity to get the second player down, and they do. Only 1 now left standing from potentially dangerous. He's completely wrapped around and has been able to find the knock onto Andy.
Are we actually gonna get an upset on the juggernauts of Players Cup number 10? Gabriel popped out in the open. Shots from Nicholas don't land. The 1 versus 1. It's all been evened up now. Stun thrown out. Push through. Gabriel comes out on top. Annihilation onto AKM. 8 kills for them. Ability to get the revive. Bale, the last member up for Nameless now. They have 1 kill for the team so far this round.
No. Nameless, that solo player who dropped in late. He's been able to loot up, but Youngblood, they've opted to take this compound. It's a 3 versus 1. Should be able to clean this one out, but surely they don't have any info on exactly how many players are here. Faravero, he spotted out Leapy on the other side, maybe expecting that a player's going to be in the water, not sure whether he's seen him. That's the end of that final player from Nameless, as Pandorito's able to finish off the job. Faravero just running into the zone. The smoke's gone up now. It's a rush to win, forced to make the cross. It is just going to be like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of a struggle for these teams at the bottom. They're getting so close to placement points, but that's not even that much if they could get them, and they're really not getting that many kills. Kind of just been a non-starter of a round for... I mean, Renee got eliminated super early on. Nameless tried to call a couple of players back, but only got 1 kill point for them, and then Rush to win. Well, they're late on the cross, trying to go over the river, going over the water. Caught between STS and Razav. Looks like it's going to be curtained for them soon as well, unless Leapy can pull something amazing out, which it's always possible. Can never count any player in this game out yet.
Should point out, by the way, Systematicos were the only team inside this circle until potentially dangerous sent Glock in. Now, Anzera can play this position. It is inside of the zone. Sure, they need to be cautious of Leapy. But it looks like Razav are going to try and deal with that one themselves. Systematicos may opt to play a little bit split here. They can keep 2 players over on that cliff as long as Anzera is there to provide some cover. And they shouldn't be able to peek. But right now, we're only 1 team falling, making it into the placement point territory in a circle that I can't say I've ever seen before. Glock, he sees Youngblood, tries to land the spray, not going to be able to. It will pull up just ahead, so both teams inside the zone. But PD, they are just so aggressive today. They're going to drive in, potentially try and look for these kills, using the ridge for cover, but all it takes for him is for him to pop up. Ooh. Instead, though, it's Gabriel who pops up, finds a load of damage onto DDG, but he cannot finish the job, and DGT turns around. Glock with the trade, takes down Zevo, follows it up with a frag, tries to connect onto DGT, but he just can't do it, and he is getting lit up by frags of their own now.
Oh, that was such a good play. Gabriel with a great angle, but Youngblood is able to take them down. Cuts them out right before they get any placement points, but still good number of kills for potentially dangerous. They still did major damage this round. Martin goes down, but anyone's also been eliminated. Yeah, look at Leapy, last member up for R2W, completely unspotted by STS. STS are distracted by their own push into the mainland. Ibero and Anders. Or Anzera. Last 2 remaining. Leapy, I think, with the P90 in hand as well. This backstab could be brutal. Trying to slow walk, you can see in the picture-in-picture.
He's not even trying to walk right now. Knows that he's inside circle. Maybe hoping that Anzera can get taken out. It's actually Loucher. Finishes off Zevo. Gets the flush to go with it as well. Ribeiro playing point on the other side, but he just isn't able to peek. This ridge is so open from the north as Youngblood. They're not going to have to make a move. They can keep playing their current position, which they are going to be happy with. But now Anzera and Leapy both have to make that cross. Anzera going to be the first to do so. Looks like he pulled out that parachute, and now is the time to start swimming. Leapy could potentially get that extra kill out of this one. Sure, we'll be missing some placement points, but it's better than nothing.
They might just been hit with the Loot Goblin disease once again. It's hard to turn that signal off, but at this point in the game, Leapy should have all they need and really needs to get on the move. But how does Leapy even cross into the zone? Do they follow in the shadow of STS? Or do they try and rotate to the north? No, this is the play. Get a couple of kills while they can at this range. Lining it up, shots land, looking for the knock, unable to find it, able to get one. It's about securing it, though. But it's actually Panda Dorito that finds the knock, not even Leapy. But if Leapy can secure it, and maybe even get the second kill onto STS. No, that's another kill opportunity missed. R2W are still sitting on 0 kill points this round.
Oh, Leapy. You got to hit those with the first couple of shots. Managed to find some towards the end, but it's Youngblood who got credited with the kill. Systematico's now down to just a solo. And Zera spotted out. Not inside circle either, so he's going to have to run up to the north and ultimately expose himself to Youngblood to be able to make it in. Razav, they've got Loucher inside the circle, but Faravero, he's focused on clearing out, seemingly looting up, moves back, and Zera throws down the smoke. Is it too little, too late? As Pandorito finds the damage, DGT repositioning the vehicle, just trying to get info. As Razav, they've posted up with that shield now.
Razav know where Anzera is. Anzera's going to play down on the coastline, but once they get over this ridge, it's going to be open season for the angle of Panda Dorito. Lauch is trying to throw some damage in, not in response directly, but throw some damage of their own towards the players on the north side. More adjustments being made in positioning.
It's all about just making cover right now, because there is nothing to play with. Those vehicle tires getting cracked. So's Loucher, though. Nice peeks from Pandorito. Faravero is there to try and trade it out from another angle. A lot of damage being found on both fronts, but neither team able to find a knock. And Lanzira's going to be happy about this because he's down on that ridge using that cover. And ultimately, no one's looking his way right now, which is exactly what he would hope for. The circle moves in his direction. So it's going to be Youngblood that are forced to make the move. If they do so, it might just give him the distraction to sneak up behind Team Razav, even though they are aware that he was over here, obviously leaving a player scouting out. He could still catch him off guard.
Yeah, I think this is a bit scary for Team Razav, just because they know there's a solo to the east and a set to the north. They could, unbeknownst, be finding themselves in the midst of a two-team crossfire. Shots from Panda Dorito. Tagging up Anzero just a touch. Anzero's been using so many smokes. Curious how many they have left to use now, and just looking at all the open space that there is in this zone. Likely going to be needing at least a couple of more. More smokes come out this time from Youngblood.
6 kills on the board for Youngblood. Smokes go out. They lost some vehicle tires, but at least they've still got some left. Potentially just going to send it over to this rock in the center. This looks to be just about within grenade range, and if they found some damage, surely a frag is bound to follow. Maybe just a little bit far, though, without that significant high ground. Zera, he's been able to sneak his way in, but Razav, they're aware he could be flanking, and now he's pinched between two teams. Youngblood's coming from one angle, Razav coming from the other, but again, just not able to fully commit to this ridgeline because of Youngblood's position. You can spot out any peek that Razav try and make.
Good shield by Anzera as well. You can see Laucha keep peeking over that direction. Eyes on everything. Faravero pulling back, no longer able to use that aggressive side flank that they were playing a few moments ago. It seems we're going back into the waiting game once again. 25 seconds before Phase 8. Phase 8 can shift a touch. It can't hard shift. It can't go so aggressive that it touches the edge of the previous zone. But will it favor Youngbloods or Razav even just a little bit?
Neither team has great cover, but Youngbloods have some dips to play with. As we get later into the game, it will favor them. Razav's still not going to be forced to move just yet. Faravero will have to move up to Laucha's position. You could argue that Youngbloods right now, the fact they have a crossfire, the fact that Razav have to run down an open hillside, maybe are the favourites, but it's so close, and there's still that unknown factor of Anzera, really the only player who's not inside of the circle right now. Sure, Faravero isn't either, but could try and make it over to Laucha still.
Penadorito crawling forward. One of the things that you need to be aware of with the third-person perspective is that sometimes it could be a bit difficult to tell how visible your body is. And so with very, very shallow dips and ridges that we're seeing in the end game here, you got to be really precise with all of that. Faravero picks the shield up. Laucha's still holding point. Laucha hasn't moved at all. Playing the anchor to Faravero's mallet. Swinging around a couple of different directions. Just looking to see who comes into the line of sight. Keeping themselves topped up as well. What
And
flavor of
Dorito.
energy drink do you think that is?
I don't want to say in case we get in trouble. You never know.
Melon?
There's a reason we had to change the skins.
There are flavors, though. I'm not asking what brand.
Okay, flavors. I mean, just sugar syrup, right? Oh, Panarito. I was gonna say he had to drop that backpack to try and keep that position hidden, but he spotted out Anzera on the push, and now Anzera also going to be inside the zone. So it is just a waiting game now. Who is going to be the first team to make a move? As Razav with just like the fortress set up right now.
It's hard because right now I think you have to favor Youngbloods because of the crossfire and the fact that Anzera, well, what's it going to look like? What's the angle of the terrain going to look like? Anzera out in the open once again, goes down to Faravero. Panadorito lift them up, and now we're setting up into a 2-on-2. Out in the open, opportunity for Faravero not going to be found. A lot of smokes in play, but the blue is closing.
Rezav trying to make something out of this. Nearly able to take down Pandarito, but he's going to be able to return the fire. Faravero falls. It's down to a 1 versus 2. The nades will be coming out. The BZ could be huge if it connects, but that is a long-range nade. The frag looked close. The second BZ goes further to the side. Surely that will force them out from their current position as the zone closes in. Loucher under so much pressure, but not being affected by the BZ. The smoke's still going to be there for cover. DGT lands the spray. Not going to be able to find the flush onto Faravero. It's all onto Loucher using those shields for cover. Finds a little bit of damage. The flashbang comes out. Youngblood, they have nothing left to work with. They find Faravero denying that extra bit of info. The Molotov, though, is too short. Loucher peeks out. He takes down TGT. He's only got 17 health, but he's popping that first aid. Pandorito using the bush. It's the only bit of cover he has left. Everyone has burned through all of their util. It's set for that final Molotov. Extra smoke comes out. Forces him back a little bit, so Loucher can start moving forward. He can throw that shield down, but surely those shots, they're the cue for Pandorito to take the spray, but no, he's not got any bullets in reserve, getting punished for dropping that backpack earlier on. Smoke is down, tries to land the spray, drop the shield, Loucher, you've still got it, get yourself that extra bit of cover. He does in the end, and right now it's only a bush and a smoke for cover. The zone gradually, slowly but surely closing in onto Loucher's back, waiting for the smoke to dissipate to be able to try and take this peak.
Panadorito has been playing so calm. Hasn't let out a single shot, waiting for the perfect opportunity. No panic sprays, no panic shots. Lets one bullet out, but the blue now closing in, pushing them into the bush. Loucher knows where they are, can just blind spray through, but the blue is also on them. For a touch, but only for a brief moment, but it's enough! It's enough to get the win!
That is absolutely huge right there from Loucher. The jammer pack coming in clutch. If it had a second less on it, then that would have been the end of Razab. But 13 kills and a chicken dinner coming out in the end. Youngblood's just not able to make it happen, leaving it until the final seconds. And it shows that sometimes you grab that jammer pack, you avoid going into the blue too early on. You can make the most out of it. And what a game that was. So much early game action. It slowed down towards the end because so many teams just got wiped out on the rotations because of how brutal that circle was.
Not just that, but how brutal the leaderboard is looking for so many of these different teams. We're Happy Men's, AKM, D1, they're all towards the lower end of things. Still in qualifying position. Nameless, though, same couldn't be said for them. And, of course, Razav. I mean, they got the win here, the good number of kills. So they should be looking good. Oh, and R2W. What a bit of a heartbreak for them. We still have one game left. No one's written out at the moment. One good game is all it's going to take for anyone. But leaving it up to Erangel can't be a good feeling.
Certainly not. We've seen so many teams have strong performances today that just weren't able to deliver yesterday, so the question mark is still on those teams down in the bottom 3. As of right now, it looks like both 55 and AKM are going to be comfortably within the top 8. So it all comes down to those teams in the bottom 3. They need to deliver. Do they take the hot drops again? That's what we've seen out of a lot of them. That's the big question mark, as Rays have 18 points out of that game. Youngbloods with 10. So many points being sponged up by the top teams, and it's just the same names again down at the bottom. Quattro Konos, though, they've started consistently being able to pick up some points. The same for 4HP, but we'll have to look over at the overall leaderboard to see what kind of benchmark these teams need to hit to feel some kind of confident for qualification.
It is an 8-point gap between 10th and 11th. 8 to 10 points is what's needed for those bottom 3 teams to catch up. And that's assuming that DM and 4C don't get any points themselves. Getting above that, though, it's not impossible, but very unlikely. Just the 23 points for 8th and above, they should feel relatively comfortable. If you're STS, if you're D1, if you're 4 Happy Men, you want to have at least an okay game. You want to get a couple of kills, a couple of points. But I think they should be relatively safe. It's just these bottom 5 that we're looking at. And we have to look at Nameless, Rush to Win, and Renee Levon to see what they can spin up, likely what they can spin up from the very beginning.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. One game left to make it happen and a big gap to try and close. We'll be back in just a couple minutes for our final game of the weekend.
Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. This year, we're introducing structured competitive play in third-person perspective mode for players of all ranks, levels, and ability. Here's how it works in EMEA and Americas. PUBG Players Tour competition is held in 2-week phases. Each week, you and your squad can compete in player scrims. Think of these as a great alternative to ranked play. Each day of scrims will feature a variety of maps, with defined team and lobby sizes to ensure a balanced best-of-3 rounds. Teams will earn points based on their performance, and daily leaderboards will track their progress. When the scrims are over, the top teams will qualify for the PUBG Players Tour Cups, where they will be joined by up to 10 invited teams, featuring some of the best players in the region. Players Cup leaderboards will track team performances across 2 days of play, with the top 8 squads progressing to the final round of competition. Players Masters are the pinnacle of the PUBG Players Tournament. 8 teams from each of the 2 cups will engage in fierce competition for a huge prize pool in each region across the PUBG Players Tour season. And for times when a Players Masters isn't scheduled, you can still get your PUBG Players Tour fix with Super Cups. These work just like Masters events, where again, 16 teams, 8 from each of the 2 previous Players Cups, compete for a share of the total cash prize pool. Welcome to the PUBG Players Tour. You know the game. Be a player.
One game left here, and for the 3 teams on the bottom, they need at least 8 points, or 10 for the bottom 2 to even tie 10th place. And that's assuming they're not being challenged on those teams climbing up further themselves. It's a good plain path to start things off though, Chunks. But as is always the case for Erangel, I'm never going to be comfortable until I see that Phase 1 does not touch Sosnovka Island.
Yeah, you never know, especially with some of the circles we've had here in the Players Tour. Just a reminder that everyone's eyes right now need to be on Nameless, Rush to Win, and Rene Levand, because they are the teams that are on the cusp of qualification. But equally, if you're a squad like Deportivo Merlo, Cuatro Konos, even 4 Happy Men's, you've got to be a little bit concerned about your qualification. I would guess that 4HP are probably pretty comfortable as long as they're able to get a couple of points out of this game, because they do have a bit more of a buffer. You will really need an insane performance from all those squads down at the bottom to be able to lose your position. And you are relieved, Cammy. It is a central circle. No Sosnovka finish today.
God, it is a classic center. What a way to finish this. And what a way for 55 to start things off. Of course, it's Karak out and alone. 55, they can just never stay grouped on up. Do they all just have really bad BO or something? That they're just repelled from each other as much as they are? But if Karak can stop D1 here, that's going to give an opening. At least a little bit of one. No, you know what? I'm looking back at the leaderboard. D1 are safe. There's going to have to be something weird for D1 to fall out, to get overtaken by 3 teams, for them to get knocked out. It could happen. It could happen. But
never say never. But honestly, D1, they should be pretty comfortable. I think with 13 teams in the lobby, there might not actually be enough points on offer if we make the assumption that a team like Potentially Dangerous, Razab, 55 are probably going to sponge up quite a lot of them. So I would guess that there probably aren't going to be enough points going spare for them to actually lose their position when you take into account how many points all of those teams down at the bottom end would need to be able to grab. But we can't rule anything out just yet. As D1, 55 in a bit of a hot drop. 55 on the cusp of 3rd place. They're only 1 point ahead of AKM right now, 3 points ahead of Youngblood, and again, only 10 points ahead of D1. So this is one of those battles that could really affect the prize pool right now. If 55 come out on top without losing a player, you would imagine that they solidify themselves in 3rd place, and that'll be made a whole lot easier when Samcro can hit shots like that. If D1 go down, then this is going to deny them the opportunity to get any cash tonight.
oh man, Lucas even had the jump on Sam Crow, but Sam Crow landed the headshot. That's really what matters. Toxic is just waiting to see what D1 do in response. Pushing back on over, shotgun in hand. Get ready to breach this. SWAT team style. They seem to know where they are, checking out the top floor. I did see some gas canister action happening from that member of D1 that's still on the floor above them, and that's also a shotgun in play for them. So this could get ugly for 55. They have the man advantage, and they're just sort of flooding the top floor.
Molotov goes down onto the staircase, but Karax, he already made it up. Found himself the knock, follows it up with the flush. Factor still alive. On the other side of things, Potentially Dangerous. Oh no, this is not what you want if you're Rene Levand right now. Currently last place, and they've already lost a player early on. The rest of the team pretty far away down to the southeast. They shouldn't be too much of a threat. Just a reminder, pull up that map feed with exclamation point map so you can see everything that's going on. D1, they're in a 1-1 split right now. Carlos, he's heading kind of Kameshki direction. I don't imagine he's going to head all the way up there unless he really hasn't been able to loot anything, but he might just be playing as a solo for this game.
Getting ready. The clown car their way into the zone. They're not going to be wasting too much time finding where Factor is hanging out on. Of course, they're kind of circling around. They're not going into the zone. Are they turning around to try and chase down Youngbloods coming from the Povka? Ooh, Nameless versus 4C. This could be a huge fight. This is the exact scout that Nameless wants to take. But no, 4C just going to keep on driving through. But they're also already in the zone. Are they just looking for a fight themselves?
I mean, they want to try and deny 4C from being able to overtake them. really. I mean, sorry, from being able to hold on to that lead. If Nameless were able to finish off that squad, it would have been absolutely huge for them. As Rush to win, they try and send it over towards Team Razab, but quickly punished by Faravero in that off angle. The Pesadelo, the player playing a little bit further away,
Good knock.
is the one who finds the knock and punishes Razab. To Rush to win, rush into this compound. I mean, they need the points. It's time for those high-risk, high-reward plays. You just got to hope for their sake it works out, because otherwise they're going to be confirming they do not qualify for the Super Cup. They end up not going straight for the crash into the compound instead, pulling up over at the ridge. Razab obviously playing with the 3-man. If they crashed a little bit sooner, would have been a 2 versus 4. Nice headshots found onto Loucher, but he returns fire himself.
Rush to win, even with the VSS in hand, they're still trying to take this fight. I think they've been rocking the VSS this whole game. Pesadelo does go down. A little bit of an overextension by the flank player. But the other members of R2W are in this compound. VSS lets loose, has to reload. Louch is going to punish that. Take advantage of the window, the opening opportunity. Shifts out to the side, pre-fires the peak, and gets yet another knock.
Razab, one more kill, and it will crush their dreams. Nice underhand flash. It's not even needed, though. So that's the end of Rush to win. That's one team confirmed not making it through. Deportivo Merlo, they're a squad that's on the cusp right now, and they get punished early on, so this could be big, as Nameless are actually going to be credited with one of the kills onto that fight. They're looking to try and find some more. It's potentially dangerous, will have a player knocked. They're not going to be able to find anything, but it's Ribeiro from the off angle that punishes Bran. He needs to move. Nameless now playing as a 3-man. It's going to be difficult for them, but at least they've got a point on the board. That's a bit of a gap to start closing.
Yeah, but as you said, with DM eliminated, that is a clear goal. They just need, I believe, Nameless are the team that need 8 points to match them at 16. We lost R2W already, but then we're still looking at Rene Levant to also hit 10, again, to match DM's position. So seeing that kill feed is huge for these squads.
Yeah, Rene Levant, they've already lost a player, so they're going to be weakened as well. Seems like a lot of 3-mans taking part. And let's not forget, 8 points. It's hard enough to get in a full lobby when you've only got 38 players alive. It's really going to be a struggle, especially when you've got squads like Potentially Dangerous who are getting so aggressive so early. 5 kills already on the board. Doesn't look like they have any plans of stopping. They could really dictate which teams qualify depending on which fight they decide to push here. They have a read on where Bran is. They've moved away from this one. They're heading down to Quattro Konos, and this could be detrimental for the 4C team.
Ooh, lined it up. Waiting for the chance. Waiting for Bran to open fire. And desperately crossing their fingers that Bran doesn't walk behind that outhouse.
D1, by the way, saw them in the picture-in-picture. Factor's just laying prone. They've got another player up in Kameshki. Let's not forget, there's a respawn beacon in each of those areas. 55 Esports coming back. No, he's not moved. He's kept his head down, and it might be for the best. Because 55, I think their assumption is going to be, okay, he's going to use the respawn beacon. They're probably coming back to grab those blue chips if they haven't already. Making a move away, so you've got to hope that Factor has been able to grab one of them to keep his team in it, because he is so limited in terms of loot right now.
Ten seconds left for phase number 2. Are we going to get something silly? We're going to stay kind of old hat around Razak's school area. Ooh, it's a hard shift down towards the south. This is one of my favorite places of Erangel to play around, that east of Pachinki. Not the field, but a little further east. As long as it doesn't stay around school apartments, because endgames there can be quite slow. And also very much based off of who enters the apartments when. A little more of a timing-based win condition. Potentially dangerous now, though. They saw their targets. They saw 4C. Circling around, baiting out shots. They're going to arrive. Gabriel's still safe, though vehicle's getting close to losing its first tire.
The rest of PD, though, are posted up on completely the opposite side. It's almost like he's baited out the shots, getting them toward Pete. This angle is psycho! A nuts headshot over onto Nanolzi. Taking one down. Looking to try and find some more. So Youngblood will have a read on this. The rest of 55, yet again, taking an early game crash. Could they cause problems here for Youngblood? It's DGT with the MP5 again. Just not able to make anything happen. 2 opening knocks now for 55 Esports. Pandarito's still inside of here, but Zevo is a long way away. And let's not forget, this is not inside of the next circle. So 55 going to be looking to clean this one up quickly. Pandarito needs to be so careful about giving away those audio cues. He takes a jump, and yeah, that's giving Samcro the info that he needed. Out comes the nade. Will it be able to connect, though?
Oh, they're flooding all over. Counter grenade back out. Don't knock yourself. Gets the knock onto Toxic, but now Pandarito does go down. This is an important fight for third place for 55 to secure it. We still have to look at AKM. But at least for now, they're looking to eliminate one of their competitors. But here comes potentially dangerous. They heard the shots. They saw the kill feed. They want to get involved. They're in first place. They're locked in first. That's not going to keep them from playing and rampaging over everyone else. Drop shot attempt, but Carrick doesn't get anything off of it. Tony gets the knock there.
We cannot discount just how important this fight could be. 55 playing for third right now. But ultimately, if both these teams get severely damaged in this battle, it means that a lot of those points that they've been able to sponge up at the top end of things will be freed up for the teams further down at the bottom, not to mention the increased likelihood of placement points as Nitavon takes down Toxic, potentially dangerous. Not looking like they're going to lose any. Psycho will be able to find the knock, but he can't confirm the flush. Just about gets himself some safety. Underhand pre-nade comes in as Gabriel, he's just hanging out the side of the UAZ. Doesn't need his help, though, because Tony just pushes in there. 55 Esports out in 11th. That's 9 kills already picked up from potentially dangerous. It's only phase number 2. 4 HP. They hear this. They need to run away right now.
We're already down to 33 players alive. And yeah, as you said, huge for potentially dangerous. How do they already have 9 kills?
Because it's PD.
Yeah.
They're trying to drop a 20 bomb this game at this rate.
Like, they're the only team that seems to be wiping players out. Like, 55 got a couple of kills on, who is it? Not nameless.
Youngblood.
Young.
That final player still there, laying prone. It's Zevo.
No, but I mean, the first fighter on Mansion.
Oh,
but other than that, it looks like potentially dangerous are getting all the other kills that we're seeing in play. Circle does still stay center enough. A little bit of a nudge east from Pachinki around Potato Hill, but everyone is still around school. I think they were prepping for a potential school finish just in case. There are a lot more opportunities to move away from this area than it is to try and return back to it. But grenades ready to Renee Levon getting pushed by AKM. This is on the south edge. They're the only teams here. No risk of third party just yet.
Threw a gas can down there as well. So if the nade doesn't find the knot, Flames just might. AKM, again, fighting for third place while Renee Levan, they are fighting for survival. Baba, nade in hand, will get punished for it as he does get knocked, flushes himself out. AKM just sweeping through. Trying to finish off the job. It's Renee Levan looking less and less likely to be able to qualify for that Super Cup. But they're going to grab every point that they can. Will gets the opening knock, but he isn't prepared for Yayi to peek through. That means Renee Levan now, with 2 players left up, in Boatyard.
Yeah, wait, they're not even all here as 4.
They got recalled. They got taken out earlier on, I think.
Must have.
Yeah, they've just looted in.
That must be the case, because otherwise I have no explanation for why they'd be so split like that. And even so, getting recalled, why are they not even... whatever, it doesn't matter. Ready to move on and see if they can try and qualify with 2 players left, but with potentially dangerous already on yet another reign of terror. I don't even know if they're going to be the kill points available once potentially dangerous get done with what's on their plate. Right now, trying to face up against 4C once again. Crawling up from the low side of the hill, you can see Glock swinging in from the opposite side and looking at the map. Gabriel is rotating around. pulling yet another angle into action. Blossom gets the first knock, but Tony gets the second. Gabriel with the third in the fight.
Horsey, currently the cut-off for qualification. They might be getting cut off from qualifying themselves as potentially dangerous, just taking every fight that they get a whiff of. Nightavon has a read where that final player is. Tony's trying to catch him in the pink, but Nightavon getting taken out, and that's 13 kills on the board here now for potentially dangerous. Quattro Konos down in 10th position. Now things start to open up for teams like Nameless, Rush to Win, Rene Levand. They need to get those 8 kills. They need to aim for that benchmark of where Quattro Konos are, because they're currently the cutoff team.
Both Quattro Konos and DM, I believe, are both stuck at 16. So it's possible for both of them to fall out, but we need to see Nameless and Rene Levand start to get the kills. They haven't really gotten much in any of the fights that they've been involved with, as few as they have been. It's mostly been the other teams just rotating around, trying to see what they could find. AKM now looking to catch 4 Angry Men's on the retreat. Timing doesn't favor them. A bit of a spray at long range. But there is a lone player, Nyx, down below them. They don't seem to be aware. Oh, that's a card flipping over, but... Yep. And... they're stuck.
It's got cover. It's not great, but it's cover all the same. I do want to point out on the other side of things, by the way, Nameless, they're actually posturing to take an engagement up against Systematicos. The opening knock has been found onto Brad. Nameless, a team, they need so many points out of this game, but it's going to be so difficult now. They're down to just Anubis in, I believe, a 1 versus 4. Players are going to be getting flushed out. There's only 1 respawn beacon left inside of the zone, so even if Anubis manages to clutch this one out, he's got so much work to do, and it's not going to work out. Anyone eliminates Nameless, and that is the end of them. They will not be able to qualify, but now Rush to Win, Rene Levand, they need big performances, and it's going to be difficult with only a couple of players left up. Do Rush to Win even have players left? Have they already been eliminated? No.
Yeah,
so it's all onto Rene Levand as a duo.
Oh, and here comes Potentially Dangerous. This is the problem. Okay, so Potentially Dangerous do get knocked. It's a 1-for-1 trade on the fight so far. This is the problem for Rene Levand, what remains of them, the last team that could still qualify here. With Potentially Dangerous taking so many kill points, how much left is going to be available for them? Even if they win the game, that's still only 5. They need 3 kills on top of that at least to match, to tie. You'd want to get 1 more to confirm the tiebreaker. Grenades come out. Lost and pushed away from the rock by the blue zone. Potentially Dangerous, even with that 1 player knocked against them, they are showing no signs of stopping here. They're leaving Gabriel to die out in the blue. Timing doesn't favor their revive. Not really an opportunity there. But that's not going to deter them from continuing to block STS out from climbing up this hill.
Rene Levand have to kill basically half of the remaining lobby to be able to qualify. With 2 players left up, after being recalled the Luton Boatyard, they are now pinned down by Team Rezav. I think in all likelihood, got our top teams locked in as Nightavon with a huge 3x spray to take down Lost In. And look to try and find some more of those Systematicos players. As anyone runs over to the rock, he's looking up towards Glock. Potentially being spotted out by Nightavon as he finds another huge headshot over onto Ribeiro. Predate goes over towards the rock. He won't be able to find the knock, but never mind, because Tony's there to trade it. They've got 17 kills on the board. They've literally wiped, like, what, half the lobby already? And they show no signs of stopping.
No mercy, and they even get the shift up in their direction. Pretty hard shift towards the northeast. Everyone else is playing in the Pachinki fields. It's one big giant stretch. It's one big happy trail. And AKM are looking to push still further onto 4 Angry Men's. They're looking to overtake 55 and get that 3rd place position for themselves. And just looking at what the leaderboard looked like before this round started, I think with those 5 kills, they might have done that already.
I mean, 4 happy men certainly going to be happy seeing all of those teams fall down below them, now knowing that they are secure in their position. Rene Levand, the only team that could really be a thought into the side of any of those teams that are close to qualification, but it's going to be so difficult. No kills on the board. They have to kill half of the lobby to be able to qualify. And unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen for them. They're in a very weak position up against a very strong team in Team Razav, currently second place. Even as a three-man, they've already squad wiped, and they've not lost a player. AKM rotating in. May cause a bit of a distraction, but I can't imagine they try and crash this when that hill has so many playable positions on it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. Renee might be in an okay spot to gatekeep, but no one's going to be coming through their trajectory. Certainly no one that wouldn't get hit by Razav first. Yeah, AKM, as you said, they're swinging in from the south. Potentially matching D1's own rotation. BRDM is in play. Spot up BRDM. Grenade comes through. Here comes a shot from HBIT and the drive-by by Yayi. AKM knew exactly what they're doing when it comes to taking this fight. Donkmo Dandy does get knocked, but now Yayi trying to end things once and for all. BRDM up in flames. And Factor once again down and prone. We haven't seen this player up on their feet at all this whole match.
Yayi just driving around. AKM feeling so strong this game. 8 kills on the board. Really just fighting to try and overtake 55 Esports, the team that is currently holding on to third place. It's what, $100 difference between third and fourth place, so they're going to be playing for every point they possibly can. As Factor laying prone for D1. Obviously, they should also be qualified, but there's still the opportunity to try and make their way into the prize pool. Actually, now I look back of it, 7 kills would be required, so another player that would need to wipe half the lobby on his own. I think we're looking relatively settled. I think all eyes right now have to be on AKM Gaming, just how strong they can perform and how much of a threat they can cause 55 Esports. Obviously, with 55 going out early on, 4 HP. Nix tries to land the spray, but it's the play zone that ultimately wins. 4 HP down in 6th position. We make it into the top 5. Just a reminder, it's only the top 4 teams that get placement points in this current point format.
If I'm not mistaken, every single team is locked in to their position on the leaderboard. Unless something massive happens, I don't think, like for example, I don't think D1 are going to be overtaking Youngblood, especially not with one member left.
Just trying to think back on how many kills 55 were actually able to get. I mean,
like
they wiped,
only like
what,
4
2
or
squads?
5, I think. I don't even know that.
So they killed the majority of them in Mansion. And then
Yeah, they got 3 there.
rotated, took down 3 from Youngbloods, I want to say.
I thought
So
it was only
it's-
2.
Either way, it's going to be close for sure. Every point that AKM game just gets them closer and closer to that prize pool. So I think they're the team that you really have to focus on right now. And with 4 players up in a strong position, got to be feeling good about them taking third.
Oh yeah, no, looking at their position right now, there's no way they don't get at least one more kill. And I think that really is all that it's going to take to confirm it. Renee Levant getting bombarded by grenades, blue zones chiming on in, as well as the push of the actual the actual bodies of Razav. A little bit of tag damage onto Rumblin, but doesn't get the knock. Just tanking through it. It wasn't a stack of grenades, so it was survivable. Wait, is that a shotgun or a bolty? About to swing up from the opposite side. I mean, it's a bolty looking to be used as a shotgun.
Well, there's that kill you were talking about from Nicholas for AKM. If they can confirm it. Renee Levan down to just a solo. I think that certainty is starting to settle in. They actually run into each other. Oh no, the flashbang connects as well. Neither player knows where the other one is. We have the luxury of X-Ray. As Rumblum hops out the window, caught with the flashbang. Laucher finishes off the job, and it's Razab with 6 kills, so they're confident in second. But AKM still trying to find some more kill points.
Looking to lock this one in. Locking Razav out of the hill. There's some good cover down there. But I don't know how much of it is actually in the zone. Nidavon gets knocked against Laucha. Another revive should be possible for Razav, but again, that's not taking the blue into account here. Factor does finally go down. Tony's going to take them out. 3 teams remain. 4v3 v potentially 2. It might actually be potentially 1. Martin, run!
narrowly making it into the zone there, but the smoke's the only form of cover. AKM, they're looking down at this. They want to get those extra kill points. Confirm themselves that third place position, but it's PD that just continue to put in work. I lost track of just how many kills they've been able to get, but they've got up to 18 right now. I told you they were going to try and drop a 20 bomb, and it's certainly looking likely as they continue to find damage onto Faravero.
On the one round that they needed the least, Rayzav is not going to let them do it. Rayzav is not going to give them the opportunity to break records here, but with 4 members of AKM still on the cards, potentially dangerous if they win this one, assuming AKM don't deny. It's going to be a 22-kill victory for them. But AKM, they do have the man advantage. Not positionally, though. It's an uphill climb, quite literally, to get into this zone.
Surely PD do this right.
In numbers. Yeah, you have to assume. But any advantage in numbers sort of gives you doubt.
There's BZ nade. There's 2 players in a very nadeable position, but Yagi putting in work. Unlucky not to find the knock on Nightavon there. One more bullet would have done it. As AKM trying to take more zone control. It's difficult when a squad has the high ground, but they're using every bit of cover that they're able to find. Also, to avoid being detected, they know that they have the player advantage. So they want to try and use it, but you know just how strong Nightavon and Tony are capable of being. We've seen Nightavon specifically pop off, the same with Glock, but in terms of solo ability, Nightavon has really stolen the show for me this weekend.
Oh, yeah. Bit of a replay of AKM's push onto the BRDM. Why not? Look at it again. But the slow moment's not going to last for too much longer, so bringing our attention back to the action at hand. AKM with a bit of a spread of their 4 members. Not going to get taken out by one well-placed grenade. Oh yeah, he feels a bit too hot behind that rock. Wants to back away. Feels the grenade range about to happen. Tony spots him out.
He's using that high ground so effectively. He's letting his teammates close in by just being that thorn in the side.
Yeah.
Not necessarily getting knocks, but doing so much damage. And there it is. Nightavon finally able to peek over the top alongside Glock. Tries to land the spray. Just can't do it. Switching over to the mini. That Mark 12. One more bullet will do the job onto Andy, and he manages to find it. AKM down to just a duo. As PD get their 19th kill of the game. Are they going to be able to make it 22? It's looking likely right now, but Nicholas trying to respond with the spray. Frag grenade lands in from Tony, but that's a huge headshot onto him. Trying his best to equalize the fight. It's back down to a 2v2. Nightavon throws out the smoke to try and get some safety. HVIT spots out Nightavon, confirms himself the flush. 11 kills now on the board for AKM as he finds a huge headshot. It's a 2 versus 1. Glock is out up against the blue, trying his best to heal. He's taking his time, has managed to pop it, goes for the move, he's spotted out. More damage, tries to connect from HVIT, but that P90, it's oh so powerful. He does get spotted out, lands the mini shots, just waiting for Nicholas to get over that ridge, try and catch Glock in a crossfire. Takes him down low, and how the tables have turned. AKM Gaming able to clutch out that win in no small part thanks to HVIT's very powerful MK shots.
Yes, those amazing headshots at the end. And like I said, when there's a man advantage, even if positionally they looked out of things, AKM just needed to get 1 or 2 extra knocks to turn things in their favor. And AKM end the series with a well-played win, but potentially dangerous. We still have to give them their flowers for this round alone. Despite being denied the chicken dinner, they still got so many kills. They started this from the very beginning.
PD know that we're not playing TDM at the moment because they're certainly acting like it. They are just rolling round, picking up kills left, right, and center. They've done so all weekend, and obviously in a point system like this where there's only, 10 placement points on the line per game for the entire lobby? Yeah, kills are massively going to be favorable. But the thing about PD is not only are they picking up huge numbers of kills, they're consistently making it to the end game. I think that game they managed to get 20 kills. I'm not sure whether it might have just been 19, but either way, that's a huge amount of kills. Even not being able to take the win, you've still basically won the game in terms of points.
Oh, it was that opening headshot by Nicholas and then
Huge.
followed up at HVIT's second. That's really what allowed them to clutch those things. Oh, sorry, this final round out. Clash of Juggernauts at the end there. Well played by AKM. This is the match leaderboard still, even with the win. Potentially Dangerous come out on top with the overall points. 23 points with the second place 20 kill game. Absolutely huge from start to finish. There was nothing on the line for Potentially Dangerous. They were already qualified. They were already guaranteed first place with the amount of points that they had. They did it just for love of the game.
I just want to know quite how many points they were able to get in that game and how many they got overall. So they got 23 from that one. They've got to be getting close to 150 points, which over the course of 8 games is absolutely absurd. Again, especially in this point system where you're not getting a huge number of placement points. So really impressive performance. But AKM, today they delivered. They were another team that they had already qualified, just like 55 Esports. Yesterday, it was not quite what we would have hoped for from them, but they really showed why they deserve to qualify and why they deserve a share of that cash prize pool. But let's take a look at the overall standing, see who is going to be able to make it through. And I don't think we're going to see too much change because those 2 teams that have already qualified over in the top 8, it moves that qualification spot down to 10th place. So Deportivo Merlo and Quattro Konos are both going to be qualifying. Nameless, Rush to Win, Rene Levan just not able to make it happen.
Yeah, even with DM and 4C going out with 0 points, Nameless, R2W, and Renee, they got 1 between the 3 of them. So yeah, nothing really was able to get started for them this weekend, much less this final game. And like we said, AKM, they did leap 55. They did get more than enough points to take them out, take them 3rd place. 55s do still get a little bit of prize pool. I believe it goes all the way down to 4th place. But AKM, that final round, gives them just a little bit more.
Yeah, and AKM just popping off towards the end there. 55, they were able to get themselves some kill points in that final game, but it just wasn't enough compared to AKM's amazing performance. So, Potentially Dangerous, they get the lion's share with $400, Razab with 300, AKM with 200, and 55 Esports with an extra 100, but they're already qualified, so they're looking forward over to that Super Cup now, which of course is going to be taking place on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of August. But more importantly, these are all the teams that we'll be seeing in that Super Cup. So many strong rosters, so many teams that have consistently performed. It's going to be an exciting set of games, Cammy.
Yeah, and listen, guys, the adults, they're going to be returning back. We're going to have Alcatia again. We're going to have Mirror again. We're going to have ROC, Bestia. All the teams that played and qualified in the first weekend took a break this weekend. Well, for teams like 4HP, DM, for D1, Bestia, all those teams that qualified this weekend, it's going to be a much different game. It's going to be trial by fire for those teams, especially the ones towards the bottom of this weekend, while being able to qualify. But right now, let's do another victory lap for PD, because they're going to be at the top of all of these stats.
Yeah, over 10 kills per game on average. That is absolutely massive for them. Over the course of 8 games, able to get 109 kills. So much damage, consistently making it to the end game. And Razav doing exactly the same. So many kills, sure, not quite at the same level, but they really performed this evening. They definitely deserve not only their share of the prize pool, but also to be competing in that Super Cup. But there is a big question mark, isn't it? With so many strong teams taking part in that Super Cup, will they be able to continue this dominance? Only time will tell. And it's Tony that steals the show in terms of kills and damage. But I mean, Potentially Dangerous across all the stats, just popping off.
I mean, we were talking about at the end of the last game, Nidavon was pulling attention. I mean, Gabriel as well. Glock. I mean, all 4 members of Potentially Dangerous have had so many solid moments. I think I do agree. Nidavon was kind of pulling a lot of the attention through a couple of potential like clutch maneuvers. Yeah. But Tony was the solid foundational rock of the damage output and the kills output. I mean, the stats, they speak for themselves there.
Absolutely. I mean, Tony, he was definitely more of that entry player. He was the one opening up with kills, with damage. But at the end of the day, it was Nitavon who we really saw a lot out of when it was those 1vx plays when you thought, oh, he's dead here. And he managed to clutch it out. So that's, I think, why he drew the majority of our attention. But Tony just basically wiped an entire lobby on his own that game. That weekend, sorry. So that is a huge performance from him. But that is it for us this evening. That is the end of the Players Cup. The Super Cup will be coming up on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of August. But before that, don't forget we have PNC starting this week. So make sure you get your pick'ems done. Make sure you get those fantasy predictions filled out. And make sure you watch it because it's going to be an exciting set of games. I cannot wait, Cammy. I'm sure you can't either.
Yeah, I'm excited to get to watch it. I'm excited to just continue to keep watching more PUBG Esports. So without further ado, we're going to let you guys go for the night. Thank you so much for watching with us. We will see you, if not in chat for PNC, we'll see you for the PUBG Players Cup, Super Cup, in only a couple of weekends. See you then.